Hello and welcome to Lost Love Chronicles.
Dear listeners, before we get started, drop a quick hi in the comments and let us know where you're tuning in from. Also, if you have any suggestions for us to make the channel better, please let us know. Now let's start with the story. Blaine and Anita started to get their coats on when a loud crash, followed by the sound of tearing metal, and a loud thump shook the house. Jonas grabbed up his pistol, and Mira reached for her .22. The back door slammed open and a hooded figure bounded through, a semi-automatic at the ready. Before he could raise it, 3 small cracks sounded from Myra's gun. The figure went down, doubled up, and began to writhe in pain. Blaine had grabbed a rifle off the wall and jacked a slug into the chamber. He looked around wild-eyed for someone to shoot. Anita held Laurel closer against her body and stood behind her husband for protection. When the figure went down, Jonas stomped on his chest and kicked him in the head. The unconscious form rolled over on his back. Jonas grabbed a boning knife out of the knife drawer and squatted next to the prone man. He sliced through the outer clothing and the jeans and shirt. He roughly dragged the man away from his freshly destroyed clothing. The man had a barrel torso, thick legs, and large, powerful-looking arms. The knuckles on both his hands had been damaged many times. He had the fists of a brawler. "I take it this is Barry," Jonas told her. "Yes," she whispered in a hoarse voice. "Well, so far, by your reckoning, you stabbed him once and now have shot him 3 times. He doesn't seem to fare too well against you, all things considered." He stood back from the man. Someone closed the door. "Our guest is getting chilly." Jonas continued. "Blaine, see if there is anyone else with our friend here. If there is, shoot him." "You bet," Blaine answered grimly. "Anita, stay in here where it's warm and watch after our baby." His words would have sounded ridiculous, except for the set to his face and the way he held the .30-06 Remington bolt action. Blaine leaned the rifle against the wall long enough to slip on his parka and zip it up. As the hood went over his head and was tied into place, he grabbed up the rifle with an ungloved hand. For the couple of minutes he planned to be outside, gloves would be a hindrance if he had to shoot. As the front door closed behind Blaine, the wind died down. Jonas told the wounded man on the floor clad in only his underwear, "You can quit faking. I know you're awake." When the man still did not move, Jonas said in a conversational voice, "Mira, shoot his left kneecap." Before the last word was all the way out of his mouth, Myra's small revolver shot once again. A new wound appeared in Barry Schultz's right thigh. "You scumsucker," he screamed as his eyes shot open. "I'll kill you both." The hatred and deadly rage showed on his face and in his voice. He appeared bathed in a black halo of insane, evil malevolence. "Sorry she missed your kneecap," Jonas told him in a conversational voice. "I have been meaning to give her shooting lessons and haven't had the time. The way you distracted me when you kept sending idiots to do a warrior's work. I see you are not much better yourself, just crazier." Each mention of Barry's insanity threw him into new paroxysms of anger. "I'll kill you," he screamed. "You will die slowly, begging me." Whatever Jonas was going to beg for was lost as he nudged Barry's wounded leg. The big man tried to roll over and snag Jonas's foot with a mitt-sized hand. He got a kick in the wound on his side for his troubles. "Get back away from him," Mira said in a tight voice. "I want to try to shoot his kneecap again." "Wait," Jonas told her. "Practice shooting at his nuts. You say he never uses them anyway. I want him to be able to walk. We are going to play 20 questions. Then when the questions are answered, I will either need to have him able to walk enough to show us, or walk to his own grave." "Wait, you stupid son of a bitch, you have to turn me over to the local authorities. That's the law and you know it." Barry Schultz closed his mouth as he saw the soft smile on Jonas's face. He had seen the same smile on professional killers in the past, the ones he arrested. He realized this was not a John Q. citizen who had been taught from birth about the sanctity of the law. This man was a law unto himself. "Come closer and aim for his balls. Shoot once. Then when you see how close you came, adjust your aim and try again." This dumb but doesn't seem to realize there is nobody here who cares if he dies or not. "I'll just take his body out back and dump it under the compost pile to rot with the cow manure and loose hay. Hell, if his bones are found, all we have to say is someone else stuck him there." One shot sounded and Barry screamed, "No?" Then he realized he had not been shot. The bullet had buried itself in the floor between his legs. "I'm sorry, Jonas, I missed again. It's just I am so mad my hand won't stop shaking. I'll do better next time." "No, don't. Take that gun away from that crazy bitch." "She's crazy," Barry begged. "What do you want to know?" Jonas showed no emotion as he began to question the ex-cop. "First, who hired you? Don't give me any bull. The first time I feel you are lying, you die. If you are no use to me, why should I let you live?" "Ron Spate," Barry told him. He was fronting for Senator Barry. Mr. Spate was Daddy's lawyer, and Senator Barry was the man who got Daddy released from prison. Mira looked ready to kill Barry Schultz out of hand. "He's lying. Let me kill him, I deserve the chance." Please, she begged. No. Barry yelled. It's true. Jesus, get that bitch away from me. She's crazy. He looked up at Jonas. Spirit Petroleum Exploration are the people behind this. It's all about goddamned oil. Oil? Jonas asked, unbelieving. It doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone go to all this trouble for an oil well? A billion-dollar company does not go after a land grab for a damned oil well. They would negotiate for the drilling rights and pay a royalty. You don't go on a killing rampage unless... His voice trailed off. What? What is it? What are you thinking, Jonas? Mira asked anxiously. People have done a lot worse for something like an oil well. Not the big players, Jonas replied. They use the courts and by the politicians. The only ones who get their hands dirty are the professionals they hire from a distance. One group tried to hire me when I left the army. They wouldn't waste their time with someone like this reckless fool and his clueless crew. Another shot rang out, and a new wound appeared on Barry's thigh, much closer to a more sensitive spot than before. This is really working, Mira shouted, her voice hysterical. All right. Barry screamed, all his resistance broken. You're sitting on top of a huge oil deposit. Your land covers it all. There was a small seep once, but it was sealed off thousands of years ago. Spirit Drilling found traces above a cave and drilled a test well. They hid oil at 1,000 feet down. They tried to buy the place, but you beat them to it just a month ago. Jonas turned to Mira, wanting to hear her opinion, but before he could speak, Barry kicked his ankle out from under him. As Jonas stumbled, the gun went off again. Another wound appeared on Barry's stomach. Suffer, Mira spat bitterly. Oh God, the pain. Barry yelled, I'm dying. No. The answer is yes, you probably are dying, Jonas told him in a conversational voice. You have any deathbed statement you want to make? Go to hell, the wounded man said bitterly. I hate you all, I hate. He passed out. Jonas grabbed the phone, dialed 911, and waited. This is Jonas Morgan. Give me the FBI in Denver. He waited while the operator explained he could dial the number direct. He hung up, dialed information, and asked for the Denver office of the FBI. Frustrated, he took an impatient breath, dialed the number he was given. As soon as a pleasant-sounding voice answered, Jonas said, My name is Jonas Morgan. I live out here in Walden, and you people have been bothering me. Now I have a dead man lying on my kitchen floor. His name was Barry Schultz, and you wanted him. Here he is. So come get him. This is Special Agent Waters, a new voice came on. Please speak slowly and tell me the circumstances of this alleged incident. You dumb pogue, I'm calling from my home. He hung up. The phone rang less than a minute later. I believe we were cut off, the same voice said in a calm voice. No, we weren't, Jonas answered. I hung up. As you damned well know, this call is coming from my home. I am not going anywhere. You want the body yourself, or do I call the sheriff and let him or the state boys have it? Please wait until the 2 agents dispatched to your residence arrive. Please do not disturb anything. Whatever else he intended to say was lost when Jonas hung up again. Blaine came into the house. Where's Anita? He asked worriedly. I'm in here, hon, with the baby, Anita called fearfully from the bedroom. Is it all over yet? I guess, her husband answered. The guy who started this is laying on the floor all shot to hell, and he ain't moving. Blaine turned back toward Jonas. That dead son of a bitch skidded into our motor home and tore up the side of it. Then he skidded into the side of your back porch and took it all the way out. His Hummer is parked at the corner of the house. If you go out your back door, be careful. That first step is a doozy. You think he has any insurance? There are his pants over there. Check his wallet. Whatever he has in the way of money is yours, Mira told him. Blaine pulled over $5,000 from the wallet. They waited in the living room for the FBI to arrive. An hour later, a thin-sounding car horn wailed. There was a loud crash, then another dull thud that shook the house. You think that's the FBI? Anita asked hopefully. Jonas grabbed up the rifle Blaine brought back in with him and hurried to the back door. Just as he got there, someone knocked. He carefully opened the door to see an apologetic-looking FBI agent. One of the 2 Jonas and Mira met in Walden. He scrambled up into the house as Jonas backed away. The other agent followed. Jonas gave them a sour look. Next time, park in the front yard and walk up to the house like everybody else. He closed the door behind them and placed a chair under the knob to secure it. Mind if we use your phone? One agent asked. Jonas nodded. Mira handed him the cordless phone from the couch. The other agent had squatted down beside the dead body. He looked up at Jonas. Why did you shoot him so many times? I was questioning him, came the quick answer. The agent pointed to the gut wound. I take it he gave you a bad answer? He asked in a disbelieving voice. Before Jonas could answer, Mira cut in. I shot him. That is Barry Schultz. He took over my life and beat me and tortured me. I just wish he was alive so I could shoot him again. She spat at the dead body. In other words, Miss Ford here fired multiple times in self-defense and killed the deceased when he refused to desist in his efforts to do her bodily harm. Sounds right to me. Jonas smiled and gave Mira a reassuring smile. She came over to him and hugged up tight against him. She leaned her head on his chest. You, whatever your name is, Jonas pointed at one of the agents. You knew about the oil angle and did not warn anybody. You scumsucker bureaucrats cost more lives than you saved with your cloak and dagger bowl. The agent smiled pleasantly. The name is Special Agent John Scott, in charge of an organized crime task force. We have had Barry Schultz under investigation for 2 years for racketeering and connections with organized crime. This has been a long and arduous task. He neither admitted he knew about the oil connection, nor did he deny. Another FBI agent introduced himself. I'm Special Agent Dylan Pike, second in command of the task force. He handed Jonas a business card. You have a leak, to say the least, in your office. You were given bad intel about me. The way it was done was to place my stats in another man's jacket. Jonas looked hard at the two agents. Now let me guess. The person I was supposed to be was a convicted murderer with a bad habit of shooting first when cornered, was cowardly, and used a knife. How close was I? Agent Pike said. You got the part about the murder right, but he preferred to ambush his victims and use an ice pick to the back. Never argue with a bureaucrat or a fool, Jonas replied. Most times, you're dealing with both at once. Jonas glanced at Agent Scott. The leak in your office, whether it's in Denver or D.C., is standard intelligence work. We did that kind of thing in Afghanistan and other areas. At the mention of intelligence agencies, both agents gave a slight reaction. Let me guess, Jonas continued. You're part of a joint task force with the CIA, investigating something that involves shady people in government and outside the continental United States. Maybe a vice president on the take? Or perhaps a few congressmen looking for a little extra cash. Both agents were visibly shaken by the accuracy of Jonas's guesses. Scott stated in a quiet voice, we can neither affirm nor deny your surmises. We may not discuss an ongoing investigation with anyone outside the Bureau. Suddenly they heard the whoop, whoop, whoop of a large helicopter. It looks like Outright is here. We will take your dead body with us. Also the weapon used to shoot the deceased. He held out his hand, and Mira gave up her weapon. Christ, I hope that chopper pilot is better than you two at parking. Jonas flinched as he waited for the half-expected crash. Instead, the helicopter landed and sat in the yard well beyond the wreckage and shut down. Pike opened the door, and 3 men rushed in. Scott pointed toward the dead ex-cop. 2 of the newcomers grabbed the corpse and dragged it outside. The third man rolled up Barry's cut-up clothing. Then the third man, Pike and Scott, headed out the door. Scott stopped and told Jonas, you shall receive a title to the wrecked van we drove into your house. I will put in a voucher for the damages to the motor home and your house. Someone will call you in a couple of days to discuss the amounts. He closed the door and was gone. They heard the sound of the helicopter as it took off. You suppose we can find someone else to run into our old motor home? Blaine asked with a hopeful look on his face. I can make better than wages just waiting around for the next wreck. I think that is the last of the danger, Jonas told Blaine and Anita. You can go into town or sleep in the bunkhouse. It's late and I don't want to drive that road while it's snowing. We'll sleep in the bunkhouse, Blaine said. Besides, I also think that dude was the last. Anita nodded her agreement. She bundled her daughter up to go outside. Be here at 4:30, Jonas said. Morning comes early. Anita, tomorrow I want you and Mira to stay here in the house with the baby while Blaine and I handle the chores. Then we'll see what we can do to make the bunkhouse more livable. Later, we'll get you set up better. Once they were alone, Jonas turned to Mira. Different, he told her. She didn't answer, but instead, she took his hand and led him toward the bedroom. The wind howled and moaned outside. The barometer dropped, and more snow began to fall. The 2 wrecked vehicles and the motorhome with the twisted frame were covered with snow, giving them the eerie appearance of a graveyard in an abandoned world. Soon, the light in the bunkhouse went out, leaving only the single light in Jonas's bedroom as a sign that life still existed somewhere. Mira stood quietly, her head down, as if in hesitation. Jonas paused for a moment before taking her into his arms. As she rested against him, he whispered, Are you all right? I think I'm falling in love with you, she whispered. Jonas pulled her close. It's okay, he murmured. I'm here. He held her tightly, sharing a quiet moment in the warmth of their connection. I think I might be falling in love with you too. They lay down together, pulling the covers over them as Mira whispered, I'm scared. Jonas gently comforted her. Hush, he said softly, I'm right here. He held her close, feeling the calm between them. As the night went on, the wind outside seemed to fade into a gentle lullaby. They slept, resting in the quiet and warmth of the new emotions they were beginning to understand. The morning after Barry Schultz died, Jonas awoke to the howling wind. The small ranch house seemed to shudder and quake after each heavy gust. Another snowstorm had started up during the night. The violence and fury of the gale raging down from the north made the ranch house feel as if it were alone and isolated from the rest of the world. He rolled over and hugged Mira tight against him. She snuggled back and whispered, "You going to wake me like this every morning?" She rolled over in bed and nuzzled his chest. He smiled in the darkness and kissed her softly on her sleep-swollen lips. "Time to get up, babe. No time for love-making in the morning, unless you want to start the day at 3:30. He laughed and kissed her forehead. Up and at him. Jonas threw back the covers and caught his breath as he stared down at her silhouette in soft contrast to the white sheets. In the darkened room, Mira heard him slowly exhale and whisper, "Oh yes." She rolled over on her back. She smiled a secretive smile to herself and stretched for his benefit. Jonas stared at her shadowy outline in wonder. "You just window shopping, or are you going to buy?" He had difficulty with his voice as he answered her. "We have to get the chores done. Then if there is time, we'll continue to discuss my shopping habits. Right now I am in the market, and then some. Come shower with me." He hurried into the bathroom for his morning pee. She followed him in and sat unselfconsciously on the toilet as soon as he finished and turned toward the shower. The act itself was intimate as she felt his closeness. She giggled to herself, surprised she found peeing in a man's presence could be considered intimate, even sexy, yet it was. It amazed her the way, in such a short time, they had become so close. Except for her little girl crush on her 7th grade teacher, Mr. Darius, Mira had never considered the possibility she might fall in love. The few boyfriends in high school and college quickly lost interest in her because she seemed unable to grow close to anyone. The few sexual experiences in college left her disappointed. She wondered if she was destined to be single and alone forever. Then Jonas Morgan, her complete opposite in nearly every way, came into her life, and everything changed overnight. My God, here I am sitting here, contemplating the deepest aspects of my life, Mira thought to herself. Jonas would think I'm losing it if he could read my mind. If you're done with all those deep thoughts, I'll let you join me, he said with a warm smile. This new chapter in his life still surprised him. Jonas started the shower and stepped into the cold spray. He shifted to one side to make room. "Oh no," Mira yelped as she stepped in behind him and quickly jumped back out, glaring as he laughed. "It's not funny that water's freezing," she grumbled. "Don't pull that tough guy act again. That kind of macho stuff is just childish." He tried not to smile, but failed. Her stunned reaction had been genuinely funny. "Sorry, I didn't think I start every morning with a cold shower to wake up." He chuckled again. "I wish I had a picture of your face just now." She gave him a sheepish grin. "I guess it was kind of funny," she admitted. She hesitated, then joined him under the now warming water. Jonas turned the dial to bring the temperature up, then quickly soaped and rinsed. "I'll start the coffee and go wake Blaine. You might want to get dressed before coming out. Everyone's coming over for breakfast." He stepped out of the shower, dried off, and got ready. Still in his socks, he headed to the kitchen and started the coffee. Just then, a knock came at the front door. Cautious, he stepped aside and peeked out the curtain. Blaine, Anita, and Laurel stood waiting. He opened the door with a smile. "I was just about to come get you for breakfast. Come on in." Anita unwrapped little Laurel from the heavy blanket that kept her warm as they came over from the bunkhouse. Blaine shucked out of his sheepskin coat and hung it on a peg by the door. He took the sleepy child from Anita so she could remove her heavy down-filled parka. She gave them a shy smile and said, "If you tell me where things are, I can start the breakfast. Just tell me what you want." Jonas thanked her and added, "I can do it easier myself than give directions. Blaine and I can have a little coffee and then get the milking out of the way while you and Mira enjoy a cup of coffee. Mira knows where the hog feed is, and you two can take care of the eggs and the pigs while Blaine and I take a run to the south pasture. I hope a 4-horse team can get through. I want to feed extra heavy if we can get through the snow. If the snow is too deep, I will need to see about either a snowcat replacement or get that one fixed in a hurry. I don't like to work our horses in deep snow too often. It wears them down." Jonas poured coffee around and handed one to Blaine. Mira came out of the bedroom fully dressed. "That coffee smells good," she said and grabbed a cup off the table. She carefully sipped and sat it back down. "Boy, hot too." "All business." She sat across the table from Jonas and asked, "What's the plan?" "You and Anita stay inside and get acquainted while Blaine and I get the milking done. Then we eat breakfast. I want us to try to make a run out to the south pasture. You and Anita can get the eggs and feed the hogs while we're gone. You know where everything is from yesterday. Blaine, let's get the milking done." He put his half-full coffee down and headed for the front door. As he threw on his heavy sheepskin jacket, he grabbed a rifle off the wall pegs and headed out the door with Blaine close behind. The wind had filled the air with the dry powder snow. There was no visibility beyond the front porch. He pointed toward the ropes stretched between the house and the barn. Blaine nodded. Both men held onto the line as they made their way to the barn. Just as he opened the side door of the barn, the lights went out again. Jonas quickly went through the routine with the lanterns again and told Blaine, "Let the cows in. I'll go back to the house and start the generator." Just then the emergency lights went on. Jonas smiled and turned the Coleman lantern off. They hurried through the milking and returned to the house as soon as the separating was done. "I showed Anita where the generator was, and she showed me how to start it," Mira told them, proud she could accomplish that little bit without Jonas's directions. Jonas laughed, kissed her on the lips, and headed to the kitchen to begin breakfast. "Steak and eggs okay with you all?" he asked Blaine. "Beats cornflakes all to hell," Blaine answered. He refilled his coffee cup and sat back down. "Jonas, I don't think we could get through that snow on horseback, let alone drive a team of horses through it. We must have got 2 more feet dropped on us last night. It's going to be drifted real deep in the low spots." Jonas nodded agreement. As soon as the grill was heated, 4 T-bone steaks were tossed on to cook. He warmed a skillet and stirred up the makings for Swedish pancakes, rich dollar-sized pancakes made with a crepe batter. He brought a jar of raspberry preserves out of the pantry and placed it on the table. "Hell, boss, you stay home and cook, and I'll do the ranch chores with the women. I heard a couple of times about how Henri over at Steamboat Springs tried to hire you to work for him. Now I see why." Jonas smiled at the compliment. Mira felt proud as she looked at her man. Yes, he was her man. She had no doubts on that score, none at all. She knew she would never domesticate this scary person who beat up FBI agents and cooked pancakes with the same competent attitude. She realized he would never be a "honey, I'm home" type of guy. That was all right with her. She knew down deep he would never cheat or sneak around. She knew if she asked him if her but were too big, he would give her an honest answer. She laughed and finished her thought aloud. All this, and he can cook too. Jonas looked over at her and shook his head as he continued to prepare breakfast. As soon as the table was set and the steaks passed around, Jonas sat next to the stove and kept a steady supply of the small pancakes on the table. Everyone dug in and demolished their food. Anita and Blaine fed Laurel off their plates. As soon as breakfast was over, Mira got up and started the dishwasher. Jonas nodded his approval at her willingness to step in and help where she could. He walked over to the back door and looked out through the windows on the enclosed porch. It had stopped snowing, and the wind died back down. The snow in the front yard was nearly 4 feet deep. Drifts topped 6 and 8 feet in places. "Blaine, you take that Polaris Mira and I bought yesterday and make a run through the south pastures. Come on back as soon as you make a circle through the places where the cattle might be bunched. If you do see an animal down, do not stop. I don't want you to have any problems out there. Anita, you might as well take the day off and make the bunkhouse more livable. Mira and I are going to town in her Jeep if we can get through. I doubt we had enough snow to drift the road over too bad to drive on. Usually the wind keeps it blown clear between here and Walden, except for a couple of spots we ought to be able to bull our way through. I'm pretty sure her little Jeep can make it. It's a good little buggy, even if someone painted it a sissy blue instead of a manly GI brown." He grinned at the expression on Myra's face. "You do want to go into town with me, don't you?" She nodded. "Well, get your chores done, and we are on your way." She started to ask, "What chores?" Then she remembered the eggs and the hogs. "Okay," she answered. As she started to suit up, Jonas told her, "Remember to keep hold on that rope." He kissed her on the lips and smiled. She felt the twinges of desire work through her body. "I love you," he whispered in her ear. Mira was too surprised by the unexpected kiss and is telling her he loved her to answer. A new warm glow flowed through her. She smiled and pulled her hood up over her head. Anita put her heavy parka on, bundled Laurel up, and followed Mira to the barn. Jonas slipped into a snowmobile suit and added his heavy parka. Blaine followed him outside to the equipment barn. They checked the fuel level on the Polaris and added enough gas to top the tank off. As soon as the Polaris had left, Jonas hurried to the Jeep and started it. The new heavy-duty battery was barely powerful enough to crank the cold engine over. He waited until the engine was warmed up before he used it to force his way through the snowdrift in front of the machinery shed. He dragged a heavy, manually operated snow blade outside and hung it on the front bumper. The front of the little Jeep dipped down from the added weight. As soon as the blade was attached to his satisfaction, Jonas manually dropped it to within 3 inches of the ground and hooked the lever in place. "What are you doing with my little car?" Mira asked in a worried voice. She was horrified as she stared at the blade he had bolted to her bumper. "You want to go to town or not?" Jonas asked her in a sharp voice. "My old Ford pickup has a bent tie rod, and I was waiting for warmer weather to repair it. Now, since your little car does not have wings, we better make sure we can go through the snow. There are a couple of spots where we might encounter drifts a 4-wheel drive might not make it through without assistance." He looked at her and laughed, then added, "Well, get in." As soon as she was inside and buckled up, Jonas put the Jeep in gear and gave it the gas. All 4 wheels engaged, and the little vehicle surged forward. The snowblade, set at an angle, shoved snow out of the way until they hit the first deep drift across the drive halfway up the hill. As soon as the Jeep started to stall out, Jonas threw it in reverse, backed up a few feet, and hit the drift once more. They burst through and made it up to the road. "We're in luck," Jonas told her. "Someone has already been through here. We can follow in the other guy's tracks and hope he made it all the way to town." She was intent on her own thoughts and barely heard what he said. "Jonas, why did you kiss me in front of Blaine and Anita?" She looked straight ahead. "Well, hell, I did it because you looked so good to me I wanted to kiss you. If you don't want me to, I won't do it anymore," he told her in a hurt voice. He kept his eyes on the road, watching carefully for any sign of trouble. "Jonas," she told him in a troubled voice, "I liked it when you kissed me. I liked it a lot. It's just I never had anyone's kisses make me feel like yours do. I dated in high school and could not fit in with the crowd. A lot of the kids were into sex parties, and I was not. Then in college, my very few times with a man, 3 in all, left me empty and unsatisfied. I was not cut out to play the dating game." He started to answer when she waved him not to speak. "My father was never home. The few times he was, it was not all that great because always had his mind on his next scam, as I learned later. After mother divorced him and remarried, my new stepfather could not keep his hands to himself. I left home in my senior year of high school and moved in with another girl." Mira looked out at the bleak country ahead of them. "Nothing in my life prepared me for someone like you. I went to college, took care of Daddy, and met Barry." She shuddered as she remembered the previous evening. "My life was a dark mess under a black cloud. Then I met you, and you did all the wrong things and made me fall in love with you." She hiccuped a sob. "I'm scared right now, real scared." Her short recital startled him. After a while he told her in a soft voice, "I was a loner in school. My mother did not care whether I was in trouble or not, or even if I went to school. Sometimes she would take me out of class to go help her cook if she had a bad hangover. The only reason she kept the job is because she was so damned good. I learned more about cooking than I ever wanted to know. As it was, there was a better than even chance I would have ended up cooking in prison except for Simon and Maura. Their own son had left home to join the Israeli army, and they were lonely. That was why they took me in. Simon taught me real men do not have to prove how tough they are, and Maura taught me it was okay to show how you felt." He took a deep breath and let it out. "I screwed my way through high school and into the army. Through all that I never fell for any woman I met. Then I met you, and everything changed. I don't want us to drift apart." "Oh yes, me too," Mira whispered. She snuggled closer to him. All of a sudden the dammed-up emotions inside her came out in a deep, keening wail. "Oh God," she cried, "that damned Barry won't leave me alone." Alarmed, Jonas pulled over to the side of the road and stopped. He set the brake and turned to her. "What is it? What's wrong?" He drew her close to him and hugged her. "What's wrong?" he asked again. "Oh Jonas, I killed people. Don't you understand? I killed people." She sobbed louder and told him, "I killed Barry, and I was glad. I'm some kind of a monster. I want to kill him all over again and again, and..." She shrieked her agony. "I'm evil. How can you love me?" Her face had a look of horror Jonas had seen on the faces of men caught up unprepared for war. Jonas remembered it was usually the sensitive ones who were unprepared for the killing they saw day in and day out when in battle. "Han, listen to me." Jonas tried to get her attention. The madness in her eyes shut him out. She withdrew into her own imagined world of hell and agony. He turned as far to the right as he could in his seat and held her close. Jonas rocked her back and forth until the sobbing stopped. Without warning, she snapped back out of it. "Jonas, am I crazy?" She pushed back from him and sat upright. "What is happening to me?" "Mira, listen to me. You shot those men. No, you killed those men who wanted to kill you or me, or both of us. You are going through the same thing I saw others go through in Afghanistan. They used to call it battle fatigue. Now every saran-wrapped head shrink who thinks he is an expert on the human soul puts his own label on it and claims he is the leading expert in the field he just invented. What it all boils down to is you do not like to kill people, even the sons of bitches that deserve it. I would say Barry Schultz is the only one you want to kill again, right?" Remembering his own experiences and observations of the men he served with, Jonas knew he must be very careful. He realized he was not qualified to do much more than give her reassurance and support. He also knew he must be there, ready to listen to her at all times. "You're right," she told him as she stared straight ahead. "I do want to kill him again and again and again." Jonas heard the ragged edge in her voice and knew she was no longer on the edge of hysteria. "Please, Jonas, please be there for me. If I lost you..." She could not continue as she began to hyperventilate once more. "Stop breathing for a minute. Just hold your breath for the count of 10, he ordered her. "Remember how good it was when I crawled on top of you and tried to imitate a woodpecker? We were pretty good there, weren't we?" He forced a laugh he did not feel and added, "It was better than good, and it was great." and you can take that to the bank and cash it. Mira barked a small laugh and said, "Thank you for reminding me how wonderful you are." She patted his leg. "Let's get going. I'm better now. Oh, how lucky I am that I run over your little house." He squeezed her hand and released the brake. Slowly, the small Jeep rolled forward and back onto the road. For the remainder of the trip into town, they talked of the ranch and how each could contribute to make it a success. A young doe stood by the roadside and watched them with no fear. Mira stared in fascination. "Is that a girl deer or a boy deer?" she asked. Jonas laughed. "Neither." She looked at him sharply. He relented and continued, "It is a female, a doe. Female deer are called does. Their boyfriends are called bucks." He patted the inside of her thigh. "Different," she said as her leg muscles quivered. "Different? Oh, how different." She rubbed his inner thigh. "Vivla different. I think we just invented a new definition of different. I like it." Jonas smiled as they drove into town. Jonas pulled up in front of the Emporium and parked, but didn't make a move to get out. Instead, he turned to Mira and asked, "Are you okay now? Maybe we should take you to Laramie or Cheyenne." She felt comforted and reassured by the love, concern, and worry in his voice. "I can get us to Laramie in 4 hours, tops," he added. Deep inside her, Mira felt a surge of anger rise at the way he was trying to control her decisions. No one would ever control her life again, not after Barry. She quickly pushed the thought aside. "Jonas," she said sharply, "I'm not okay. I might be losing my mind, and I feel so much anger inside that I could explode. But please, don't try to control me." She clenched her fists and held them up to her temples, as though trying to block out an attack. Jonas's own feelings became confused. He drew a deep breath and told her, "Well, damn it. I never felt like this toward anyone in my whole life, and I'm scared I'll lose you. I feel helpless because this is something I can't fight with my fists or work hard to make it right. Honey, I have started to love you so much, so, God damn it, I'm scared for you." Then his voice cracked, and she heard the pain and concern in his words. As quick as it came, the black anger evaporated and was gone. Ashamed of her outburst, she touched his arm and told him in a softer voice, "Just keep reminding me of that. You are better than all the medicine in the world. I love you too, you know." He gave a rueful laugh. "I sure to God hope so. I'd hate to be the only one of us in this much misery." He twisted around in his seat a little more and kissed her. As he drew back, she laughed. Simon came out of the Emporium in his shirt sleeves. He began to shiver as he rapped on the window on Myra's side of the car. "Come in the store," he called to them and rushed back inside where it was warm. Jonas smiled as he got out and hurried around to open the door for Mira. "I must look a mess," she complained, then added, "Thank you, Jonas." She kissed him and walked ahead into the store. "What for?" he asked in surprise. "For being you," she whispered and kissed him quickly on the chin. Simon held the door open. Come in. In case you haven't figured it out yet, it's cold outside." Simon quickly shut the door behind them as soon as they entered. "I, with my great Jewish intellect and ability to solve the unsolvable, have unraveled the mystery of the fake map. It is not exactly a fake after all. In fact, it is," he bowed to his unseen audience, "3 maps in one." Without another word, they entered the store. Simon led them to the back workshop. His face shone with pride as he showed them 3 copies of the map printed on thin, transparent acrylic sheets. As they removed their outer clothing, Simon stated proudly, "It was all a matter of connecting the dots. The X's and the O's I thought were put there as points of reference of some sort." Jonas looked at the different markings on the 3 copies. "I don't get it. This copy looks like a grid." "It is a grid. I drew lines back and forth through the dots both vertically and horizontally," the old man told him. "Now look at the second map." Jonas and Mira crowded close and stared down at it. Mira saw it first. There is a faint dot in some of the squares and no dots in others. "You drew lines through all the circles that had dots in them and connected the rest of the circles that stood alone. Then you took the one circle that has an X and a dot inside it and put it on the third map." She stared hard and exclaimed, "That mark is right in the middle to the cave you showed me." Then Jonas thought he understood. "The whole damn thing is a scam. Captain Ford used a system similar to this to sucker the ragheads into setting up an ambush at a supposed ammo cache. He even left the key to the map in with the map. We shot the hell out of 50 Iranians who had come to Afghanistan to join the jihad." "Why that son of a bitch?" Simon interrupted. "Jonas, when I overlay the grid on the second map, I find a circular space a little off center of the map." He pointed to the upper left portion to a small mark. "There is your cave. Now, using that as a reference, what is there in that empty space on the map?" "I estimate it to be a mile northeast of the cave." Jonas frowned as he looked hard at the transparencies. "Well, as far as I can figure, that spot is almost smack dab in the middle of the south pasture. Now I know for certain there is nothing out there but grass and a cairn built by some bored sheep herder years ago." Mira suddenly focused on the map. This is it, she exclaimed. Whatever he had hidden must be hidden there. Let's go see. Her voice had taken on the quality of a little girl on Christmas morning. Simon looked at her strangely and back to Jonas. Maura gently suggested, Dear, it's awfully cold out there. Maybe you ought to wait for a break in the weather. Did I ever tell you how much you sound like Fran Drescher? You are so nice, and we have to go now. She began to zip her parka back up. Simon and Maura stared at Mira as she snugged the hood of her parka tight. Come on, Jonas, she called impatiently. Oh, Jesus Christ, Jonas sighed prayerfully. What the hell do I do now? Again, he felt the frustration of trying to do battle with shadows. Simon looked up at his friend. Be patient, Jonas. Be patient, and above all, be gentle with her. She needs you. Maura nodded silently. Her own eyes expressed the deep sympathy she felt. Each step he took as he followed Mira out the door was taken on feet that suddenly weighed almost too much to pick up and take the next step. He remained silent as he climbed into the little Jeep and started the engine. Mira, he began tiredly, let's head into Laramie. So long as we can make it to the state line, we can make it all the way into town. Jonas, she asked him in a sad voice, are you trying to get rid of me? Don't you like me anymore? The little girl quality in her voice grated on him and sent chills up and down his back. I'll do better, I promise I will. Oh God, Mira, I don't know what in hell to do here. I can't handle this. He started the engine. He waited a few moments before he put it in gear and headed toward the ranch. Mira, you are going through something I saw people experience in battle. They go crazy and try to hide inside their heads, and it doesn't work. I can't handle this. Anger radiated from her in waves. Damn you, Jonas. I am not going crazy. I will not. I'll kill myself first. Suddenly she began to sob. Then a keening wail came from deep within her throat. There were no words, only a long whining moan. Just before he turned in at their drive, she whispered, Help me. Please help me, Jonas. I'm afraid. She sat slumped in her seat until they stopped in front of the house. Jonas parked beside a strange car with New York license plates. Now what? He wondered apprehensively. Troy came up to them as they stepped up on the porch. There is some guy in the house with a piece of paper he wants to serve on her. He nodded toward Mira. They want her back in New York to testify at some sort of hearing. Mira seemed not to hear. Honey, would you go over to the bunkhouse and see if Anita needs anything? After all, she does work for you and you know more about women things than I do. Mira nodded and followed Troy. Jonas went in the front door and began to remove his parka. He saw the big bull of a man get up off the sofa and start toward him. You Jonas Morgan? The stranger asked. I don't remember inviting you into my house, Jonas said in a neutral voice. He turned back toward the clothes hook to hang his parka up. Hey, sucker, the stranger started and grabbed Jonas's shoulder to turn him around. Don't you turn your back on me, you dumb son of a bitch. Jonas slowly turned around, raised his right foot, and stomped down hard on the other man's foot. As the hard leather heel came down, Jonas brought his right elbow up at an angle and smashed the side of stranger's nose. Never hesitating, he kicked the man's feet from under him with a side sweep and kicked him in the head as he fell. I still don't remember inviting you into my house, he told the unconscious form. He picked his parka off the floor where it had fallen and rehung it on its peg. Jonas returned to his newest enemy and squatted down. Now let's see who you really are and what you are really up to. When he removed the man's wallet, the first thing he saw was a gold detective's shield. It was from New York City. Well, hell, he muttered to himself. Without warning, Mira came into the house. I'll kill you, she screamed and ran toward the bedroom. Jonas jumped up and intercepted her as she ran from the bedroom with his automatic in her hand. We want this one alive, babe, he told her and removed the firearm from her hand. Jonas got no further as a shot rang out and Mira fell to the floor. Jonas jumped across the room and ran into another bullet. His momentum carried him all the way to the detective. His last move before passing out was to smash a work-hardened fist into the man's temple. He fell into a black pit. A bit at a time, he drifted back to the real world. He hurt. It was hard to think. He opened his eyes and closed them again. He waited and listened. Somewhere in the distance, an alarm sounded. He struggled to sit up. What the hell? He muttered. It was so hard to think. I've been doped, he said angrily and looked at the needle stuck in his arm. He quickly removed it as a nurse came bustling into the room. Here now, Mr. Morgan, you lie back down there. She attempted to shove him back down in bed and went sprawling as he swept her away from him. Groggy from the meds, Jonas struggled to bring his feet over the side of the bed. Where are my clothes? He demanded of the nurse. I got to get out of here. Suddenly he became aware of the deep, hard ache in his head. Oh damnation, he muttered. His fingers encountered a bandage when he touched his head. Get me my damned clothes, he ordered the nurse now. She climbed to her feet and ran from the room. Jonas struggled. He was dizzy and almost ready to lapse back into unconsciousness again. He got as far as the closet when two large orderlies ran into the room. The first one to reach him went down, felled by a throat chop. The second one dropped with a broken jaw. He opened the closet door and reached for his clothes. "How you doing there, Jonas?" came a man's voice from the door. Jonas slowly turned and assumed a fight stance. It was one of the two FBI agents he had put down in the sheriff's office back in Walden. "Remember me?" "Oh yeah, I invited you to go hunting." He swayed back and forth on his feet. He blinked his eyes and tried to focus them. "Oh Christ, I hurt. Come on and get back in bed. You've been shot." "Well, I guess you probably figured that out all by yourself." The agent laughed. "Come on and get back in the bed. Let the doctors help you get better." Slowly Jonas let himself be led and helped to lie back. "No narcotics. You tell them no narcotics. I will kill the son of a bitch who tries to shoot me full of narcotics." A doctor and another nurse entered the room. "The man says no dope in his system. I would listen to him if I were you." The FBI agent smiled at the doctor. "I say what this patient gets and does not get." The round little man glared around the room, indignant that someone might interfere. "Hey retard," Jonas told him. "I say no narcotics, and that means no narcotics. I will damage you bad if you try any. Now get the hell out of here." "You," he told the startled nurse. "Get my clothes and stuff and put it all in the closet. I'm getting the hell out of here tomorrow. I'm hungry, get me a steak." He relaxed and closed his eyes. He fell into the familiar black whirlpool once again. He felt soft lips gently brush against his. "Oh baby, please wake up." He opened his eyes. "Oh sweetheart, I love you." She hissed him again. "Are you okay, babe?" he asked anxiously as he looked up at her tear-stained face. "You need anything?" "Damn it, Jonas. You are the one in bed, and I am the one here to help you. For just once in your mule-headed life, relax." She smiled gently and kissed his lips again. "Give me my clothes. I got to get out of here." The ranch. He got no further before she placed a finger across his lips and shushed him. She sighed her exasperation. "Jonas, the government placed 2 people out on the ranch to take our places. There are also 3 more FBI agents posing as ranch hands. Troy is bossing the operation. He complained the 4 agents together can't do as much work as you do." She laughed and kissed him again. "Come here and lie down beside me," he told her in a clearer voice. "Jonas," she exclaimed, "we're in a hospital. You sure know how to state the obvious. Would you go get me a rare steak sandwich, please? I'm hungry." "I can't, Jonas. They only allowed me to come down here to see you. I have to get back up to the ward. I can only stay a little while." She looked down at the floor. "What? You look fine to me." Then he remembered how she had fallen apart on the way to Walden and the hysteria as she tried to shoot the New York cop. "I'm staying in a locked ward upstairs. We have no money for a prolonged stay, so I shall be released in a couple of days to return to the ranch. When I told them how you helped me, the doctor said you were better than all the therapy in the world. He wants to talk to you later." Jonas noticed the slight tenseness showing in her eyes. "I'm there for you all the way." He looked at her tenderly. "Besides, I made a commitment when I let you share a cold shower with me that didn't work as advertised. That means a lot to us real men, you know." "Oh, Jonas, you even make going crazy fun," she told him through the tears just starting to form. "You knock that off right now. You are no crazier than Elmo Scuggs." "Who in God's name is Elmo Scuggs?" she asked. Jonas got a thoughtful look on his face as he seemed to look off in the distance, way past the walls of the hospital room. Old Elmo was a crazy guy that used to wander around Walden. He finally died when fell off a high mountain while trying to fly home by flapping his wings. "Poor man." "What?" she exclaimed. She looked at Jonas as if he was the one who had lost his mind. "Gotcha," he laughed. Then he turned serious. "Babe, I don't want to hear any more of that bull about you being crazy. I know crazy and you aren't even close. You have been through stuff that would get most people down. Hell, I don't know the fancy words for it. But what it boils down to is you have had too much pushed on you at one time, and you couldn't handle it. You reached your limit. We have to move on to the present. Just remember I will always be there for you, no matter what. I love you." She began to weep as she crawled up on the bed next to him. She buried her face in his side and went to sleep. When the orderly came for her, she was still sleeping. He crossed the room to wake her up. "Don't," Jonas told him. "Come back for her later. Leave her rest. She needs it." He nuzzled the top of her head. "I'm sorry, man, but," he started and was interrupted. "But not half as sorry as you will be if you wake her up. Now go away somewhere and play with yourself." Jonas's voice sounded like doom to the orderly who had heard about the 2 who tried to force him back into bed. He turned and left. "Is he gone?" Mira whispered, giggling. "Did that son of a bitch wake you?" He tensed and started to sit up. "No," she giggled. "This son of a bitch woke me up. Your voice sounds like a bear growl when I have my ear to your chest." "It's a nice growl, though," she hastened to add. "Hon, I'm getting out of here tomorrow. I can't just lie around. I have too much to do." He felt her stiffen up beside him. "Babe," It's only a 4 or 5 hour drive from the ranch to Denver, so long as the roads are clear. I will be here at least every other day to visit you while you are here. Don't worry, I'm not going to cut and bail on you. I'm afraid we can't allow that, Jonas. We have your ranch covered tighter than a drum dead. Since you left that one alive for us to question, we know more of what is going on. Well, Mr. Special Agent John Scott, I'll tell you what is going on. It is all one great big scam. Captain Ford pulled this in Afghanistan. Jonas's voice became hard and angry. The map is fake from the word go, built in tiers to look like the real thing. The only thing on our land, he corrected himself, is a spring of the purest glacier water you ever tasted in your life. There is no gold, there is no oil, and the geologist's reports are both fake. He had a four-cornered con going that pitted two of the major oil companies at each other's throats. He planned to start a bidding war, sucker me into signing off on his plan, and then I would take the fall while he walked away with the cash and spent the rest of his life in some place with no extradition. Those crooked cops, the lawyer and the senator, were conned into thinking the drilling crew found oil. The drilling crew, on the other hand, drilled where a phony exploration record said oil was found by the other company. John Scott's eyes narrowed. Who leaked all this to you? Who are you working with? By Bloody Harry, you had better have some good answers, mister. You are one step from the lockup. It's obvious what happened. Open your eyes and stop sounding so stupid. Jonas looked about ready to get out of bed and start on the warpath. There have been so many oil exploration companies through that part of the state, any oil would have to be deeper than 6,000 feet to remain undiscovered. Jonas shook his head in disgust. It was right there in front of my face all along, and I was too stupid to see it. Jonas, nobody else figured it out like you just did, Mira protested. That's because the only other people on this snipe hunt were either government employees or greedy Easterners who can't see past their bank accounts. Mira mentally flinched. The FBI agent gave Jonas a resentful look. Then perhaps you will share with us who do not have your great intellect who the fourth parties are in this scam. Jonas snorted. He smiled and said, my neighbors to the south, that California stock company. The owners of that place have been operating at a loss ever since they came into the area. They brought management from California who do not know the climate or the area. The locals won't work for them, and the help they do get do not know enough about breeding. They turned the place into a feeder operation. After they learned they needed more grays, they've been trying to force me to sell my land that adjoins theirs. He looked hard at the agent. Another thing for you to ponder and think about is that those New York cops have been staying over there. So you go arrest that bunch, and I'll get back to doing what I want to do, help my lady get well, and raise good beef. What about the cairn, Jonas? Mira asked. He smiled at her. Honey, I'll save that for you to go through come spring. Now you have something to look forward to. Hon, I heard you fall after you got shot. How come you aren't limping or something? Jonas asked her. I was never shot. When the gun went off, I fell and froze. I was in shock when they flew us out. That FBI helicopter brought us straight here from the ranch. Jonas turned to ask Agent John Scott what the chances were for a ride back to the ranch. The FBI man was not there. Where in the hell did he go? Jonas asked the air. The next morning, Jonas sat in a chair and waited for the hospital bill to be tallied. No one thought to bring his parka when they flew him to the hospital. He wondered where he could find a replacement. John Scott and his partner, Special Agent Dylan Pike, appeared in the doorway. Both wore big grins. The task force will be disbanded. A very unhappy senator is behind bars, and Miss Ford's attorney was arrested last night at his home. 2 teams of FBI agents raided your neighbors to the south and arrested those who lived through the gun battle. You only missed one thing. That place was also a distribution center for some Afghan cartel. They brought processed opiates in by the planeload and packaged everything for retail distribution. No one in D.C. had any idea. Since when is that a revelation? Jonas snorted. More important to me is where I can get a coat. I will have to take a bus to Steamboat and catch a ride from there on home. Would you accept portal-to-portal chauffeur service compliments of your grateful uncle? Dylan Pike grinned at Jonas and handed him a manila envelope. There is a check in this envelope for the damage we did to your house. You also have a salvage title to the wrecked vehicle that caused the damage. If your hired hand accepts it, there is a settlement check for the damage to his motor home. Our people have pulled out, and your ranch is yours again. Your ride is waiting for you. Got room for another passenger? Mira came into the room, fully dressed. I signed myself out. She hurried over to Jonas. You don't mind, do you? She asked anxiously. Honey, it's not about whether I mind or not. It is more, are you ready to leave? He hugged her close to him and smiled. What do the docs say? One says I may be a little precipitous. The other one says that if I feel upset to get right back here. I want to be with you, honey. Well, let's get going. Special Agent Scott led the way to the elevators. Once on the ground floor, he took a shortcut through the emergency room, out the doors, and into the helicopter waiting for them on the helipad. Throughout the trip, Jonas kept Mira close, feeling comforted by her presence. "Just wait until we're home," he whispered. "Mira, you know you're still wounded, right?" She whispered back, a soft giggle escaping her lips. "Yeah, but not in a way that'll stop me from making you feel better." He shifted in his seat, gently taking her hand. "Can you guess what I have planned for us after we get back?" She gave his hand a brief squeeze before pulling away. "You're impossible," she teased. "No, I'm just glad you're here with me." He rested his head on her shoulder as they continued the ride. She looked around to see if anyone noticed them, and when she realized they were unnoticed, she playfully nudged him with her elbow. "Stop acting like a show-off," she muttered under her breath, her face flushing with embarrassment. "Sorry," Jonas whispered, leaning in closer. "I promise to be quiet next time." She gave him a playful shove. "If you make another sound, I'll make you regret it." "I love you," he said softly, and they continued their ride home in silence. As the chopper settled down in the front yard, Jonas saw how many changes had occurred in his absence. His snow cat had been repaired and was now parked next to the equipment barn. Someone had painted Harold's old snowmobile a bright red. Jonas almost didn't recognize it. Blaine came out of the horse barn, an egg basket in one hand. He waved at them with the other hand. "Hey, Jonas," he greeted them. "Mira, glad you're home. I sold a side of beef to that crazy French chef in Steamboat. He tried to cheat me, and I pulled out my hunting knife and offered to give him a sex change operation. I told him you said it was all right, and I could if I felt like it. He paid, and I put the money in the bank." He grinned with pride. "I sold all of the eggs to some produce guy out of Laramie who said he has a deal with you, and he gave me cash too. I put it in the mayonnaise jar we emptied out while you were gone." Jonas looked at Mira and smiled. "A lot of people around here use fruit jars." She wrinkled her nose at him. Blaine continued. "All the stock is fed, and we fixed up your old Ford Ranger. Those government guys ordered a tie rod assembly flown in after I said it would look better if we had an outside job going to justify so many people wandering around the place. I painted that old snowmobile out behind the barn and installed the engine out of your wrecked one in it. Works great. Hell, I better leave for another couple of days. You'll have this place stocked with our own cattle." Jonas looked around in wonder. Boss, you've been gone 6 days." Blaine told him. Agent Scott came up behind him. "You were out for 3 days while the doctors worked on a blood clot that tried to migrate toward your brain." He grinned at the way Jonas's mouth hung open. "You were damned lucky they caught it in time." "I'm going into the house, honey," Mira told him. "I want to lie down. Join me when you get done out here?" Her face had taken on a pinched look. Her fear had returned. Jonas hugged her. "Sure, babe," he told her. "Go on in. I'll be with you in a little bit." "Blaine, for what it's worth, you are a good man. In fact, I can think of no one I would rather have out here more than you and Anita." He smiled down at Blaine. "To show my appreciation, I'll give you a reward." Blaine looked his boss with anticipation. Jonas pulled the check to compensate him for the damages done to his motor home. "Why hell, Jonas," he exclaimed, "this is for more than I paid for that old sports coach in the first place." "Well, give the check back if you don't want it." "Hell no, boss. I'm just hoping you can scrounge up a few more people to run over the old clunker. I just might be able to retire before long if you can find enough bad drivers." Jonas looked up toward the road and frowned. "Oh hell, I think here comes more trouble." They watched a van with sheriff's logos on both sides approach. "Jonas," Troy greeted his friend as he got out of the passenger's side. "What's the matter this time, Troy?" Jonas asked in a tired voice. The deputy smiled and told him, "This is a social call. We were headed back into town from Steamboat, and I saw you out here. We had to testify in a narcotic seizure and are just now on our way home." "How come you're driving that van?" Jonas gave the van a sharp look. "You almost always take your own car when you travel out of town." Troy looked at Jonas with a sheepish grin on his face. "Someone stole my car." He frowned and continued, "You hear of anything cheap, let me know." Jonas looked over at Barry Schultz's year-old SUV. He smiled at the down-at-the-mouth deputy and said, "I got a deal for you." He urged Troy toward the black vehicle. "Send your partner home and come meet your new ride." Troy waved toward the road, and the van drove away. "Holy crap. Man, where did you get this?" He looked in awe at the vehicle. In a daze, he approached the driver's side and ran a gentle hand over the door near the handle. "I can file a damage claim and get the title without a hitch. It belonged to that worthless New York cop who started all our problems in the first place," Jonas said, pointing at the car. "That dent in the right rear quarter panel? FBI did that. And that white paint on the bumper, that's from when he backed into the steps. Troy, the law says I can't accept a gift over $50. That thing out there? It costs a bit more than that, I'm sure." Jonas smirked. "Now I know why you became a cop. You're too stubborn to do honest work. Listen like I'm talking to a kid. Apply for a mechanic's lien, pay the title transfer, register it. Simple. Keys are in the ignition. Go home. Show your wife the new car." He chuckled as Troy stared in disbelief. "Myra's waiting. Goodbye." Two thoughts hit Jonas at once. He'd helped a friend, and he'd finally gotten rid of Barry's car. No more painful reminders parked out front. Inside the house, Jonas hung his coat and moved quietly through the hallway. In the bedroom, Mira was fast asleep, breathing softly. He smiled to himself, sat briefly on the edge of the bed, then left her to rest. Later, Mira woke, refreshed and smiling. She tiptoed into the bathroom and turned on the shower. Jonas stirred at the sound of water and got up. "Got room for someone else?" he asked with a warm grin. "I love you more every day," he whispered as he embraced her under the cascading water. "Please, sweetheart," she whispered against his chest, never stopped saying that. After drying off and dressing, they went to the kitchen together. Jonas started the coffee as Mira listened to the wind howling outside. "It sounds so sad, so lonely," she said. "What does?" he asked, turning to her. "The wind," she said softly, "like a ghost crying for a lost love." Jonas nodded solemnly. "Yes, it does." Suddenly, a fire lit in her eyes. Her expression changed, rage replacing warmth. "I want to make him pay again," she said, her voice low and cold. "And this time, I want it to last for days." Jonas held her close. "Easy, babe, just take it easy. He's dead and we have us. Now I know for a fact we are alive. Just remember we have us. That's all we need for right now. Just us." He rubbed his cheek on the top of her head. "Just us," he whispered. She clung tight to him and shuddered. Then she began to relax again. "Oh, Jonas," she whispered with deep feeling. "I love you." "Jonas, wake up." Mira shook his shoulder. "Damn it, Jonas, wake up now." "I'm awake," he mumbled, rubbing his eyes. "Just lying here thinking about things and how you always start the day off with a surprise." "What's going on?" Mira laughed at his response. "Hey, we need to head into Laramie or Denver. It's the 15th. Also, I'm pregnant, and guess who the father is?" Jonas paused, his mind racing. "It better not be Simon, or Maura will have his head. If it's that FBI guy named Pike, I'll be having words with him." In a more serious tone, Mira said, "Jonas, I don't like those kinds of jokes." Jonas turned to her, concerned. "Honey, I know neither of us would ever cheat. That's why I can joke about it. But you're pregnant? Tell me everything." Mira hesitated, her voice softening. "Yes, Jonas. We're going to have a baby. Aren't you happy?" Jonas sat up, his face serious now. "Are you sure? You're not joking, right? Because if this is real, I want you to take it easy and make sure everything's okay for the baby." Mira smiled, reassured by his words. "Oh, you men. Always thinking it's going to be a boy. What if it's a girl?" "Either way," he replied, "we've got a little one on the way. Now, what about the 15th in Laramie? 10 days until Christmas, and I still haven't gotten you a present," she said with a grin. Jonas rolled onto his back and stretched. "We'll figure that out later. For now, let's focus on getting through today and everything else." Mira gently ran her fingers down his chest, and Jonas caught his breath at the touch. "I want to try something different," she whispered. "What?" he asked curiously. She leaned close and whispered something that made him laugh and pull her into a warm hug. "Oh, honey, I love you," she said, heart full and steady. She gave him a playful shove. "Now I've got to pee." Jonas beat her to the bathroom, grinning as he finished. "Had to go worse than you did," he joked, stepping aside. She took her turn, and by the time she finished, Jonas was already starting the shower. He adjusted the temperature and stepped back to let her in. Mira joined him, leaning into him as had become their habit. He gently washed her shoulders and back, and she returned the favor, both enjoying the comfort and closeness. After their shower, Jonas dried off and started getting dressed. Mira wrapped her hair in a towel and tied on her robe before joining him in the kitchen. He handed her a cup of coffee. "What does Anita have to do with this morning?" Jonas asked, raising an eyebrow. "Just girl talk," Mira replied. "When she was pregnant with Laurel, things got uncomfortable, and she and Blaine had to find new ways to stay close. By the time the baby came, it just became part of their routine." "You women sure talk a lot," Jonas said, smirking as he started breakfast. Mira giggled. "Did you know Anita wants to hang out with you more?" She never said anything outright, but I could hear it in her tone. "She told me about how some of the ranchers get together in the winter." Her voice trailed off. "Yeah, I know all about the winter weekend parties. I was invited by a couple of the wives back before I went into the army." He started the pork steaks on the grill. As he turned the hash browns, Mira asked, "Well, what did you tell them?" She could imagine the women falling all over themselves as they tried to get Jonas into bed. They gave the invite while they were shopping in the Emporium. Simon overheard and threatened to fill certain parts of their bodies with cement if they didn't stay away from me. Jonas laughed at the memory. "Simon told me it was okay if I fooled around with the daughters of those women a little, but don't get one pregnant. He said if I had to marry one of them, her mother would want to come along on the honeymoon to help out." "Jonas," Mira turned serious, "you're not planning on going to any of those weekend parties, are you?" She held her breath and sat in her chair, unmoving. Her worry showed plainly on her still face. Jonas cut off the sarcastic remark he was about to make when he saw her insecurity. Hon, listen to me now. I'm serious. I have no interest in getting caught up in anything unnecessary. First and foremost, I just don't have the energy for it. I've got enough going on with just us. What do I need anyone else for? He shook his head. Also, if everyone's out partying with each other, it's a good bet at least one of them will go too far, and it could lead to something that's hard to get rid of. Then what? She looked at him, her way of expressing concern strangely comforting. Jonas could see the anxiety in her, and his tone softened. You know, in your own blunt way, you're the most reassuring person I know. She stood up quickly, rushing around the table to hug him, but as she did, a small drop of hot grease splashed onto her skin. She yelped and jumped back. Where did you get burned? He asked, immediately concerned. She showed him the small burn. Jonas bent down to check on it, trying to comfort her. She laughed nervously. Now the other side, she joked. Jonas shook his head with a grin, trying to lighten the moment. All right, he said, before moving back to the cooking. He continued to prepare the meal, with a sense of calm between them. They both worked in sync, making the meal together with some good-natured humor and easy conversation. It wasn't perfect, but it felt like they were in it together. Sweetheart, you've really mastered multitasking, she said with a playful grin as they set the table. Jonas smiled. Well, I may be good at a lot of things, but it's all about finding balance, right? He chuckled to himself. She rolled her eyes, but smiled in return. You're certainly full of yourself. Jonas shrugged with a smirk. I have to be. It's just part of the package, he said before taking another bite of his food. She shook her head, but couldn't help but laugh. At least you're honest about it. Hey, I'm perfect at being me, he replied with a playful wink. As they finished the meal, the lightheartedness continued, and there was a feeling of quiet contentment between them, despite the playful banter. As she put the last bite of food in her mouth, Mira pushed back away from the table and started to load the dishwasher. She latched the door closed and turned it on. Come on, honey, let's get dressed. I am dressed. Mira realized when she heard the tone of his voice he was serious. Jonas, you can't go Christmas shopping looking like a common ranch hand. She took a deep breath. Jonas. She paused a moment, then realized there was nothing else to say. Hon, I am a common ranch hand. I am not a gentleman. I am a rancher, and that is all I want to be. If you think you can civilize me, you better think different, he told her. His face looked as if it was carved from a block of granite. She didn't answer. His face broke out in a soft smile as he added, Cowgirl, you better not figure on wearing any of that Eastern wear. Well, not unless you plan on me carrying you out to the pickup. We better take it because it has a higher center than your Jeep and still has a load of sand in the back. Okay, cowboy, if you say so. But what is the sand for? She smirked at him as she waited for some dumb joke she would not understand. On slick roads, the added weight in the back presses the rear tires down so we get better traction. It helps keep us on the road. He noticed her smirk. What? I'm waiting for the punchline so I can give you a dutiful laugh, she told him. Sweetbones, there is no joke. He hugged her. You want to dress up? Go put your new boots on. Oh, how I have fallen on hard ways. She moaned and raised the back of her hand to her brow in a dramatic gesture. In college, I once debated with myself whether or not to call in sick when my red and green tartan outfit did not come back from the cleaners. Now here today, my worry is that I wear boots so I don't get my tush packed with snow. Your tush and your bush, he corrected her. If they both get filled with snow, you freeze up inside and become an frigid old maid. Go get fancied up and let's go. Sun up is in another hour, and I want us to be well on our way by then. He gave her a gentle smack on the butt. Your wish is my command, oh master, she laughed at him. While Mira hurried to get dressed in warm clothing, Jonas emptied the cache of 3 fruit jars under the counter next to the sink, all filled with found money. He grinned that Mira was not aware of just how many fruit jars filled with cash he had stored away in different places. He slipped on a parka, shoved the wads of cash into the inner pockets of his parka, and hurried out to the barn. Blaine was cleaning the milk separator. What's up, boss? He asked. Mira and I are going into the city and maybe on into Laramie later. We will probably be gone for about 3 days at the most, unless something happens. While we're gone, I want you to think of someone you can work with. Our grateful government, as a reward for our honorable and wonderful sacrifice, has permitted us to attend an auction of property confiscated under the narcotic laws. I haven't even told Mira about this yet. The property to be auctioned off is your old outfit to the south of us. He laughed at Blaine's look of surprise. Here's the way it works. The place goes up for bid in a closed auction that only qualified bidders get to attend. The only qualified bidders are Mira and I. Blaine looked at his boss in confusion. When does this private auction come off? Oh, sometime yesterday or this morning. We did not even have to be there to attend. Jonas looked at Blaine's confusion. It's a setup. Because of some errors on the FBI's part, that California bunch and the crooked New Yorkers almost got away with the biggest narcotic deal in U.S. history. You mean that airplane loaded with dope? Blaine asked. I never thought there was that much of that stuff in the whole world, let alone on that ranch. Yeah, Jonas told him. You might run into another batch or two they missed. If that happens, you are to call the FBI direct and talk to them. Don't bother calling me first. Don't call the locals or the DEA, just the FBI. Then you call me. Blaine looked at Jonas. His face showed his confusion. When am I supposed to be doing all those calls? Well, here's the rest of the story. The auction that Mira and I don't attend, but will be recorded as being there will accept one bid of $100,000 for that whole outfit except for the Boeing 727. They won't let us keep that. Anyway, as soon as the papers are signed, and we are the official owners of the place, you and Anita move over there and run that ranch on shares. Mira will do the business end of things, and everything else over there falls on your shoulders. I need your replacement over here, maybe 2 men. He smiled at Blaine's confusion. Well, if you don't want it, you can stay over here and shovel manure out of the barn for a living. Jesus, Blaine breathed with reverence. Not even close. The name is Jonas, and I'm much nicer. He turned serious. Now the deal is that you have to keep on working for ranch hands' wages for the first year. After we sell off the stock we don't want, you get foreman's wages and 10% of the profit. There are no chickens or milk animals or pigs over there, so you will have to come over here for milk, eggs, and pork. Can you handle it? You just watch me, Blaine almost yelled. Oh hell yes, you just watch me. Well, you go tell Anita, but don't say anything around Mira. This is going to be a big surprise for her. Jonas turned around and headed for the house. The wind came back up. As he turned his back to the wind, he all at once became aware of the abandoned government SUV. On his way inside the house, he asked himself, how could I be so dumb? He asked himself as he came into the living room. I don't know. Dear heart, how could you be so dumb? You tell me. After all, you have a better idea how dumb you are than I. Mira came out of the bedroom wearing tight form-fitting jeans and a heavy plaid wool shirt. The black t-shirt she wore under the red and black plaid shirt added depth to her upper body. Her hair was tied back in a single ponytail by a red ribbon. Damn, you look good, he told her, then continued. Here I was planning a 5-hour trip in the old Chev pickup, and we still have that SUV the feds dropped on us. We can fill the tank up here and ride to Denver in style. What if I want to go to Laramie? She asked in a sulky voice. He took a deep breath and paused before answering. Well, we go to Laramie as soon as we get our business in Denver taken care of. We spend the night in Denver and head to Laramie next morning. Jonas pulled her parka off its hook and held it for her. As she placed her arms in the sleeves, she turned to Jonas. I want you to stop making decisions for me behind my back. I told you before I will not be left out of any decision-making. I will not be kept out of the loop, I mean it. Her voice took on a shrill, strident quality. Jonas saw the wild look in her eyes. Oh Christ, here we go again. Honey, you woke me up yelling you wanted to go Christmas shopping in either Laramie or Denver. Since we have business with Agent Steele today in Denver, I figured we could do it all in one trip. Oh God, I started to lose it again, didn't I? She whispered. I'm sorry, honey, real sorry. She hugged him and held on. Well, this one was not as bad as the last one. He added as an afterthought. You are getting better, but it is going to take time. He squeezed hard once and gave her but a gentle rub. Let's go. He followed her out to the big black ex-government vehicle and opened the door for her. He looked at the USG plates still bolted to the bumper and smiled. Mira looked over and saw Blaine and Anita standing outside in the cold. They waved a wild farewell as the SUV headed up the drive to the road. What's got into them? Mira asked, puzzled at the strange behavior. Well, babe, I guess they just have the Christmas spirit. I wouldn't worry about it. He steered toward Denver. Mira fiddled with the radio, retuning it as the station faded. Restless, Mira turned on the radio to radio station KOA out of Denver. A news report blared loud as Mira grabbed the volume control. The announcer began. A further update on the FBI sting operation has just come in over the wires. The assistant special agent in charge of the local FBI office here in Denver announced the results of the secret year-long joint operation with the United States Narcotic Enforcement Agency. Special Agent Steele stated they were able to spring the complicated trap because of assistance from a local rancher. Well over 20 prisoners were taken into custody, including 2 very high-placed members of the Mexican narcotic family alleged to be headed by Pablo Gutierrez. Now back to our regular programming. How dare they? Mira demanded. We caught those animals, we shot them, and you almost got killed by them. How dare they say we assisted them? See, this is what I have been talking about. You are getting yourself all worked up over nothing. Our grateful FBI did give us this fine vehicle. Now what would you rather have, a year-old SUV or a pat on the head? Think hard before answering. Both, she answered in a sulky voice. Babe, We can't spend, eat, or ride around in a pat on the head. Let's accept the car and relax. He reached over and squeezed her inner thigh. Still grumpy, she told him. Well, the FBI always tries to hog the lion's share of the good publicity and avoid the bad. Daddy told me about the way the FBI operated. He worked with them and the CIA on one job. Jonas laughed. It's called running between the raindrops. Honey, the FBI gets most its funding and then some extras only so long as they look good. Otherwise, the Congress gives their budget to another agency. In the end, it's all about money, not glory. Well, I still don't like it. She changed to the Boulder station. Special agent in charge Steele will see you now, the going into her mid-30s woman dressed in an expensive Saks power suit told them. She looked at Jonas's somewhat unkempt appearance and then stared down her nose at Myra's plain attire. She was purposely obvious in her dislike of the common people as a matter of course. Don't worry, honey, Myra told the woman in a folksy way. I scraped the cow manure off my boots before we came in here. Jonas, Myra, come in, Oscar Steele called from the inner office door. You just interrupted the cat fight of the year. Jonas laughed as he stood aside to let Myra enter first. I heard, Steele answered. I listened to Madame Frosty, but try to shine you on. She is a holdover from the previous SAC here, and she is not a happy camper. When my predecessor was given a lateral promotion, outward but not upward, he did not take her along. He took one of the younger ones instead. Oh well, that's life in the fast lane, Jonas opined. Now, we are here, let's get things finalized. Myra wants to go shopping. What have you told her about today's appointment with me? Steele asked. Why nothing? Of course, Jonas told him. Hell, why worry her pretty little head about a man's business? Jonas Morgan, don't you dare try to pull that stuff on me. Myra glared at him and added, you either tell me what is going on or you try the couch when we get home. Oh hell, Myra, don't be so fussy. Just sign where Oscar says and we can go shopping. Jonas held out his hand and the FBI man placed a file folder in it. Jonas, she warned as her face began to turn dark red. I mean it. Now stop this bullshit. Look, if you don't want to sign, we'll leave and go Christmas shopping. Jonas shrugged his indifference. Sign what? She asked in a suspicious way. Oh, just a paper, he told her as he stretched things out a little bit more. Jonas, she warned. Acting very put out, Jonas told her. I just need your signature on this piece of paper that says you understand we must share as equal partners in the reward. Don't worry, just sign. You don't need to worry your pretty little head about it. What's the damned reward? She shouted. Oh hell, it's not much, just that dinky little ranch to the south of us. We get to buy it for $100,000 on a farm home low-interest loan. They won't let us have the airplane though. Only the ranch and the buildings and any stock and equipment left behind. I sort of wanted that big old airplane. Our neighbors would have been so jealous. He laughed as her expression turned from mad to glad to ecstatic. She looked back and forth between Jonas and Oscar. Oh Miggott, Jonas. Oh Miggott, she shrieked. The door to the outer office slammed open. What's going on in here? The receptionist demanded. Not a thing, Agent Steele said. The lady was just told what her main Christmas present will be. She is overwhelmed. Everything is fine. Disappointed no one was suffering, the receptionist frowned as she closed the door behind her. Well, where do we sign? Jonas asked. I still have to take her Christmas shopping. Jonas looked down at the papers Steele placed on his desk. Steele handed him a pen and said, sign on the line over your name and date it. Jonas urged Myra to come forward and sign first. Then he followed. Jonas asked the FBI man, how did you get the powers that be to go along with this? Let's face it, the FBI is not noted for its generosity. Many things came into play here. Steele looked at the pair. For one thing, you two kept showing up ahead of us, almost as if you had a script to follow. Then you further proved yourselves to be quite resourceful in staying alive under adverse conditions. Of course, you handed us the whole thing on a silver platter when you, how do I phrase this, informed us of your the ex-policemen's association with your neighbors to the south. Your reward, if you elected to apply for it, would have been quite substantial for the recover of 21,000 pounds of pure uncut cocaine. I pointed out the ranch would be small change and could be kept off the books if you attended a pre-qualified forced auction. He smiled at them and added, you did great. Also, if you were able to write the script, your agency gets all the credit for the biggest narcotic bust in history, so long as 2 local ranchers keep their mouths shut, Myra added in a sarcastic voice. Agent Steele pursed his lips in a small smile and admitted, well, there is that too. Look at it this way though, we all win with this scenario. He gathered up all the papers and slipped them back into a manila envelope. Your copies will be mailed to you along with all the necessary documents. What about the mineral rights? Jonas asked. More specifically, what about the oil rights and the water rights? I almost forgot to ask. Are they a part of the deal? Steele looked surprised as he answered. I assumed the water rights are conveyed with the deed. As for the other, I'll look into it. You do pose some hard questions. Not good enough, Jonas told him. We'll stay in town another 2 days while you look into things. That land is worth next to nothing if I can't irrigate it. Also, I do not want either any mining or oil exploration outfits able to come in there and foul the land. Jonas, can't we get that straightened out later? Mira asked anxiously. No, babe, it needs to be addressed right now. There are 2 oil companies, Exxon and Shell, ready to get into a bidding war because of some forged drilling records. Remember? Those people are like lice. Either we get that land free and clear of all encumbrances except for the mortgage, or we do not get it at all. There are surface indications indicating there might be oil in the ground. But I am positive the oil is over a mile down. Myra's voice became harsh and raspy as she told him, Jonas, I want that land. Fine, he answered. Tear up the papers with my signature on them. When you conclude your business here, I'll be downstairs in the car waiting. He turned and left. Just as he left Steele's office, he turned around, re-entered, and handed her the keys to the SUV. He also gave her a handful of cash from his inside coat pocket. I'll take the bus back. Mira stared at his retreating back. Tears formed in her eyes. Why can't he understand? She asked. Mira, that man operates on a different wavelength than most people. He is the most honest man I ever met. Steele smiled and added, in his own way. What should I do with these? He asked as he pointed at the papers. Burn them, she answered and walked out of the office. She walked to the parking lot where the SUV was parked and got in. She asked directions to the nearest gas station, topped off the tanks, and asked directions to the bus station. Jonas sat by himself, all alone, completely at rest, waiting for the next bus to Steamboat Springs. She sat down on the bench next to him. Jonas, I'm sorry. Are you mad at me? She asked in a soft voice. No, Mira, just a little disappointed. When you get that greed bug biting you, there is no way I can reason with you. Can't you understand that whole land deal from our grateful government was merely part of another scam? Someone somewhere wanted us to take the land, and then we would be forced to sell it in a year or less for nowhere near its potential true value. Between the IRS and the locals, we might get enough to pay the taxes owed and due. Then we would find we were next-door neighbors to some big outfit that would immediately start making moves to get our property. Come get in the car, and let's go home. Jonas, she told him in a soft voice. I'm tired. I got a better idea. Let's go to the Brown Derby and check in. He stood and helped her up. After all, the main reason we came to town was to do some Christmas shopping. At least I thought it was, he told her as he escorted her outside. He held the car door open on the passenger's side, and then hurried around to get in behind the wheel. As she handed him the keys, she said, Jonas, that FBI man pretty much gave you a big endorsement after you left. I am sorry I got so excited. Would you please slow down and tell me what was all so wrong with accepting all that land? Han, there was nothing wrong with accepting the land if we got the land and the water, oil, and mineral rights. Someone, somewhere, I don't know who or where, was trying to pull a fast con game that would have given them that ranch south of us in such a way it would have been hard to prove any wrongdoing. She snuggled over closer to him. Keep going. You haven't told me how there was a scam going on. Logically, it sounded like a straightforward deal where we got rewarded for being good citizens. What's the catch? Mira, when it comes to all that finance stuff and tax stuff you seem to know so well, I'm lost. You know I am just plain old dumb about that stuff. When I made first sergeant, my major actually sat in the room and prompted me on a few of the test questions, or I would have failed the damned thing. One thing I am good at is sizing up people and deals. Your dad is the first man to ever con me like he did. She visibly flinched at mention of her father's crooked ways. He continued, that is why I was a damned good sergeant. I can size up people and situations, and am very seldom wrong. She grew impatient with all the qualifying. Can you just tell me what was so awful wrong, other than it was just a hunch? Sometimes Jonas irritated her to no end. Cut to the chase. He smiled at her impatience. The questions I asked about water rights are very important. If someone has prior water rights on the land, that means even though you own the land, you cannot use the water. This was how the big ranchers kept the little guys out. It all started back in the 1800s. This means that if you can't use the water to irrigate, you can't raise your own hay. It also means your stock can be fenced off from the water in most instances. Now do you see the picture? Oh, she said, a flat voice. Then the same sort of deal applies to the mining and oil rights? Then that means, yes, there is another party in all the problems we have been through, and he is still in there making a play for the 2 ranches. This is more likely an oil company's way of doing things, to steal your land legally. Jonas added, I have a hunch Agent Oscar Steele is right this minute making a few phone calls. We just might be called as witnesses in a few months when the rest of this all gets straightened out. He pulled up in front of the hotel and stepped out as a hotel employee opened the door for Mira. No luggage, Jonas said. He joined Mira and escorted her into the hotel. After they signed and Jonas paid from the large wad of bills in his left inside coat pocket. After the bellhop showed them their room, Jonas tipped him from another large wad of cash in his right inside coat pocket. Jonas, Mira started in an exasperated voice the moment the bellhop left. I thought you turned all that found cash over to me for insertion into the business account. I saved a little out to go shopping with. He smiled and asked, aren't you glad? She was reminded of a little boy caught stealing a cookie. She frowned. Honey, how do I get it through your head that the IRS can send you to jail and take the ranch away from us if you get caught? You know ranching and other things. I know business and tax codes. Please work with me and not against me. Oh hell, I thought once more wouldn't hurt, he told her as he got a guilty look on his face. There are many unplanned pregnancies that start off with, once more for old time's sake. Jonas, grow up. He bit back his sharp retort and answered softly, you're right, honorable, you're right. I'm sorry, and you handle all the finances from now on. He smiled and emptied both inside jacket pockets onto the bed. Oh my lord, she gasped as she saw the pile of bills. She hesitated, then began to straighten out the bills and segregate them into separate denominations. Go get me some rubber bands, please. He laughed at her consternation and left to find some rubber bands for her. Damn, but she does get worked up at times, he laughed to himself. 10 minutes later, he came back to their room and saw the door open. What in hell? He exclaimed softly. He slipped over to the side of the open door and took a peek inside. Well, Jesus Christ, he yelled and walked into the room. Mira sat in a chair with a gun in her hand. Sitting in the middle of the room on the floor was a bloody-faced stranger. On the floor next to him was a heavy, sharp-cornered ashtray. Next to it was an ice pick. Honey, this creep claimed he was an FBI agent. He tried to attack me with that ice pick. I hit him with that ashtray 3 times before he stopped attacking me. The stranger sat in a daze, unmoving. Jonas crossed the room and picked up the phone. Get the FBI officer and ask for Special Agent in charge Oscar Steele. He paused and listened a moment and interrupted. Lady, I do not give a tinker's damn if I can dial it direct. Now you either get me the FBI, the hotel manager. Now, Federal Bureau of Investigation, how may I direct your call? This is Jonas Morgan, get me Steele. He told her brusquely. Go close the door, he told Mira. Hello, Jonas, Oscar Steele said. I thought you were on your way home by bus. Not even close, Jonas told him. Some jerk tried to use an ice pick on Mira, and she wouldn't let him. Hey, Jonas roared, dropped the phone, and jumped halfway across the room as their captive tried to grab Mira. Jonas grabbed the man, spun him around, and smashed him in the face with a heel of hand blow. The man dropped. Mira picked up the phone. He tried to grab me, and Jonas wouldn't permit it. SAC Steele told her, we'll be right there. She heard a click and hung up. Who are you, and what is this about? Jonas demanded of the man on the floor. Screw you. The stranger stared up at Jonas. You have to turn me over to the law. I'll wait. He clamped his lips shut tight. Jonas stomped on the stranger's left hand. The man screamed. Talk, Jonas ordered. Who sent you? You tried to hurt my lady. For that reason, you have no rights to anything except to keep on breathing until I decide to kill you. He stomped on the man's shoulder socket. Talk to me. Brandywine International. I work for them. They said to take you both out. He moaned the last few words. Jonas heard the door start to open. He grabbed the doorknob, jerked it open, and pulled a stranger inside, kicked his feet out from under him, and started to deliver a crippling punch. Jonas, no? He's one of us, came the voice of Oscar Steele. Steele came into the room and surveyed the carnage. He helped the downed agent to his feet. May I present Special Agent Gerald Riley? Jerry, meet the worst 2 people you could ever meet. Jonas Morgan is tough as they come and can fire a shot through a moving ski mobile at 1,000 yards standing and hit it in one. He turned to Mira. This is the young lady who downed Barry Schultz, that rogue cop that caused us all the trouble. Jonas also taught her how to shoot. Oh, was Agent Riley's answer. He looked at the man writhing on the floor. He attacked me with an ice pick, Mira said in a prim voice. I stopped him. Steele got down to business. Okay, what is this all about? I thought we had the whole thing all wrapped up. What do you know about Brandywine International? This clown claims they hired him to take us out with an ice pick. Ugh. Steele grunted as if he had been hit in the stomach. They are very bad news. They have reported ties to some nasty people in the foreign oil trade. If he belongs to them, we won't get anything out of him. He'll die before he gives up the people who skin traitors alive as a deterrent against any others talking. Well, let's be creative and place him in the witness protection program. Then leak word he talked. Jonas paused, then asked, what are you smiling about? After you made those interesting observations in my office, I called a few people and asked them questions. It seems the brother-in-law of one of our agents filed on the water and mineral rights in his own name, and the oil rights went to. He paused dramatically and said, Brandywine Petroleum. Said agent has a big mouth and tells his sister everything. He is honest but stupid. He will be soon transferred to Paris, Texas. The brother-in-law will be under arrest as soon as he comes home from work, and we now have an indictable offense to charge the executives of Brandywine Petroleum. New papers will be drawn up this next week, and you'll be notified when they are ready. Or I might just bring them out to you myself. He laughed and added, I like doing business with you. You are the reason why I got my present promotion. He and his fellow agent left with their prisoner. Where's the money? Jonas asked. He reached in his pocket and brought out a handful of rubber bands. I pulled the spread up over it when I heard the knock at the door. Let's get busy. They banded the money and placed it all in her large purse except for the few bills Jonas held back. Let's nap and go eat dinner. Then we can come back here and go to bed. I need some tender loving care. He grinned as he thought of all the tender loving care he would require. Damn, but life was good again. Dinner was a letdown for them after the adventures they had that afternoon. Mira felt the familiar pressure begin to build up inside her again. Jonas, when will this all end? I want nothing more than to have our baby and go back to ranching. I love our ranch and I love you, and I just want to have some peace and quiet. She sighed and shoved her done-to-perfection prime rib away from in front of her. She fought the panic attack she felt start to build up inside her. Let's get married, Jonas told her. She was not listening. We have so many plans, and the problems keep. I want us to get married in the morning, Jonas interrupted her. There are just so many things going wrong. Shut the hell up and tell me you want to marry me. Jonas shouted across the table at her. He reached across and grabbed her hand. Oh, Mira, we got to get married right now. He did not notice the restaurant suddenly became quiet as all conversation stopped. All faces had turned toward them. What? She looked up at Jonas in surprise. Did you say something? Damn it. Mira, I love you and you are going to have our baby, and I want to marry you right now. Oh, Jonas, what took you so long? Tears welled up in her eyes as she smiled and nodded yes. Her throat ached. She placed her left hand on Jonas's outstretched right hand. Oh, Jonas, she sighed. Is that a yes or a no? He demanded. I never proposed before, and I am afraid I will screw things up and not be romantic enough. His anxious eyes stared at her. Honey, she corrected him. You are a romantic. I doubt you have it within you to act romantic. However, I accept your not very poetic proposal because I know what lies behind those blunt words. I'll be proud to be your wife. All the people near them, the ones who had listened to Jonas propose, began to applaud. Startled, Mira looked around at all the faces staring at her. Sweetheart, let's go, she whispered and got up. Jonas threw some bills on the table, rose and hurried after her. Applause followed them outside. Wait up, what's the matter? He asked as he caught up with her. Oh my God, all those people in there were listening to us. That's so embarrassing. She hurried faster toward their parked car. God damn it, Mira. Why would anybody be interested in our quiet little conversation? People have more interesting things to do than listen to us. Jonas decided for the 100th time since he met Mira he would never understand women. Oh, sweetheart, when you bellowed like a bull moose that I was pregnant and you wanted to marry me, everyone in there heard you. Your voice carries further than a foghorn. She grabbed hold of his arm when he caught up again. Robert Burns, you will never be, and I love you either in spite of it or because of it. Well, here's a poem for you, he told her as he opened the car door to let her in. He hurried around to the other side and got in behind the wheel. Well, where's the poem? She asked when he started the engine. Okay, here goes. Roses are red and life's a bitch. Tomorrow morning, we're going to get hitched. He nodded to himself and backed out of their parking space. Warmth filled her as she looked up toward the dark skies. My man is not a poet, but he is all I can ask for in a man. There is one thing I would like for you to do, dear one. What's that? He asked. Please promise me you will never try to become a poet. There are some things that are out of the grasp of Jonas Morgan. Poetry is one of them. Well, in that case, I guess you will have to settle for me to be near perfect. Can you do that? He reached over and squeezed her inner thigh. If you will just make wild, passionate love to me when we get back to the hotel, and I'll settle for anything. She laughed. I suddenly realized life is good because we have us. Hurry up to the hotel. An hour later, two elderly people heard loud screams and shouting as they walked toward the elevator. They rushed to alert hotel security. An assistant manager followed them back up to the room where the noises were coming from. He paused to listen for a moment. Then, hearing another scream, pulled out his pass card and entered. As the door opened, Jonas quickly sprang from the bed, seized the surprised assistant manager, and knocked him to the floor. Mira, call the FBI, we have another one. Jonas shouted over his shoulder as he struck the man's forehead with his palm. He then rushed to the door, scanning for any more potential threats. He noticed the elderly couple staring at him, visibly stunned by the scene. In the heat of the moment, Jonas had forgotten he was still unprepared. Can we leave, please? The old man asked in a trembling voice, pulling his wife away. She gave Jonas a lingering glance. almost as if she were recalling a time long past. She sighed softly and followed her husband out. Jonas grabbed the disoriented man and pulled him to his feet. "Who do you work for?" he demanded. I'm the night manager of this hotel. We received a report about screams and noises coming from this room. I investigated, and you attacked me." He stared at Jonas and added, "Please, don't hurt me." Jonas quickly realized what had happened. "Well, hell," he muttered under his breath. The night manager pleaded, "Could you please keep it down? You're disturbing the other guests." He hurried out, closing the door behind him. Jonas heard the faint sound of laughter in her voice as she called to him. "Come back to bed, my little troublemaker. You've been making quite a racket." Jonas frowned, but remembered what the manager had said. "He mentioned you were screaming like you were in pain. What should we do about that?" "Here's an idea," she said with a smile in the dark. "If I start screaming, you kiss me. If you start making noise, I'll kiss you." Jonas smirked. "Guess that means we'll be kissing through the whole thing." "I'm not opposed to that," she replied, pulling him toward the bed. Their single kiss lasted an hour. The next morning, as they checked out, a man approached them. "Mr. Morgan? I'm Warren Appleby, the hotel manager. I read the report about last night's incident and wanted to personally apologize." He extended his hand. Jonas shook it and sheepishly said, "I've already been told I sound like a bull moose." The manager smiled and carried their bags to the car. Mira, silent behind him, couldn't hide the redness on her face. "I've never been so embarrassed," she confessed. Jonas laughed. "Well, I guess I can't call you frigid anymore." His tone grew serious. "Let's wait a month to get married. We'll do it right, with a preacher and friends and everything. Sound good?" Myra's eyes filled with tears as she smiled at him. "You're my poem, Jonas. I love you more than anything." "I feel the same way," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "I wouldn't want to live without you." Jonas led her into a jewelry store. A half hour later, they left with a pair of wedding bands, and Jonas had already slipped the engagement ring on her finger. Later, as they shopped for Christmas presents, Mira reflected on how she had no close friends, except for those she had started to make since meeting Jonas. "I think we've had enough of big city life," Jonas said. "Let's go home." "Sounds good to me," Mira replied, squeezing his hand. As they walked to the car, Jonas heard an older couple talking. The woman asked, "Why don't you ever squeeze mine like that anymore?" Her husband responded, "If you had one like hers, I'd kiss it all day long." Jonas laughed. "Did you hear that? When we're their age, I don't want you to stop squeezing me," Mira said with a playful smile. Jonas squeezed her hand as they headed toward the car. Once inside, they drove in silence for a moment, Mira humming along with the music. The day felt perfect. But then, 5 minutes down the freeway, Mira suddenly cried, "Stop." Jonas swerved to the side of the road. "What's wrong?" he asked, scanning for danger. Without answering, Mira opened the car door and threw up. Jonas hurried out of the car. He didn't make it far before he had to do the same. "Oh God, not again," he muttered. They rinsed their mouths out at a service station and continued their journey. For hours later, they arrived home to new challenges. "Jonas, someone left this for you," Mira said. "It's from the IRS." Jonas glanced at the envelope and shrugged. "It's probably nothing." Mira opened it and frowned. "This is bad. You didn't report all your income. We're being audited." Jonas sighed. "I've got receipts for everything." "You didn't report the found money," Mira said. "We could lose this place." Frustration clouded Myra's face. "You didn't take this seriously, did you? We need to explain everything to them." She went outside, panic starting to rise within her. The ranch, her new home, could be lost because of Jonas's careless mistakes. Overcome with stress, she fainted. Jonas rushed to her side, his voice full of worry. "Mira, please wake up." When she opened her eyes, Jonas was there, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay?" Mira tried to focus. "The IRS. They're going to audit us." Jonas still didn't understand the gravity of the situation. "I've got everything documented." Mira tried to calm herself, but it was hard. "This audit, it means trouble. Someone might be targeting you, or your records might have triggered alarms. We need to fix this." Jonas's eyes hardened, realizing the serious implications of the mess they were in. "Either way, we need to prepare to do battle. Now this is my arena and not yours. Therefore you will take the back seat, and her eyes got that wild look. "Oh, that damn Barry. I want to kill him all over again." Her voice broke and she began to sob. "How in the hell do I handle this?" Jonas moaned. He picked her up and carried her into the bedroom. He placed her on the bed and hugged her close. "Oh, Jonas," she moaned and hugged him tighter. "Hon, what if I just take you and walk away from all this? We start all over somewhere else." He kissed her forehead and continued, "I can go back in the army and get my old rating back. We could live in the NCO base housing and—" "No," Mira interrupted him. "We are going to stay here and fight. This is my home, the first real home I ever had. I will kill to keep it." "Say what?" Her mood swing caught him unawares. Jonas, listen to me. When Daddy was overseas, in jail, or out doing a con, Mother brought men home. Some of them fondled me and went down on me. And Mom let it happen. The only thing she never permitted was for one of them to penetrate me. I hated them and her and even myself because I thought there was something bad about me that caused these men to do all those bad things to me. I decided I must be because my mother permitted me to be molested. What? Jonas tried to cut in. No, wait and let me finish. After she got the divorce and remarried, I learned she was raised that way and really knew no better. Then when my new stepfather pinned me down and tried to force me, I got away and moved in with a friend. I got a job and continued my education. To me, sex was dirty. I did not want some guy mauling me and sticking it in me. So I studied and got good grades instead. Oh babe, let's just pack up and leave. I have had it. You and our baby are more important to me than this ranch or anything else. He hugged her and let go. After all that shit in your past, how could you ever let me touch you? He shook his head. You are much stronger than me. I thought I had it bad growing up. Sweetheart, with all your wild ways, you did the things that won my heart. You talked straight at me. You did not try to have sex with me, and you gave me respect that turned to love, then passion. She laughed to lighten the mood. And you are a damned good cook. Mira became serious again. I almost blew it again just now. But you brought me out of it by being here and loving me. She sat up. Jonas, I am not going to let them win. This is your dream. No, this is our dream. This is my home, and our baby will be born here. We have to prepare to fight. She climbed over the foot of the bed. Her eyes were clear and glistening with excitement. Where you going? He asked. You make the fresh pot of coffee. I have lists to make. She hurried into the kitchen, grabbed a pen from her purse. I need paper, she said. He rummaged under the sink and brought out a notepad. Will this do? She nodded, got busy, and began to write. Jonas started a fresh pot of coffee. He wandered outside while the coffee brewed. He went out to the barn and looked around. There was nothing to repair. The chickens were doing fine, all clustered together on their perches. Their feathers were all ruffled out to retain their body heat. Everything was all put away in its place and nothing needed to be repaired. Even Blaine's motor home had been patched back together, and the pop-out front room sat on its jack stands, waiting for the next person to run over it. Blaine, Jonas said, who do you know that might be looking for a job? Mira and I have a bunch of stuff coming down on us, and I better get another hand to help out around here. The new ranch will be ours in a month, and then I'll need at least 2 more people. You're going to have to run both places for a while, and I am just spread too damn thin. Think you can handle it? I'll do my best. Let Anita and me take a run into town after the milking is done, and I'll see what we can come up with. There ought to be a few people looking for work. Jonas slapped him on the shoulder, nodded, and returned to the house. See what you can find, he called over his shoulder. Jonas, this whole thing is a can of worms. I need a computer, I need flash disks and gigs of RAM. I need access to the internet. I need a 3-screen monitor. I need everything. Well, between now and the 2nd, there won't be much of anything open. The 3 days after Christmas are when unwanted gifts are returned. Then right after the 1st of the year, they have the white sales, and what have you to unload unsold merchandise. That is when we can start to get all this stuff you say you need. Jonas, what do you know about computers and the internet? She looked at the ceiling as he gave her the expected reply. Not a damn thing. What do I need to get into that stuff for? I got all my receipts and the bookkeeper in Walden. I don't need any damned computer. Mira jumped up, shoved her chair back, and slapped her hand down on the table. She got up in his face and said, Shut your stupid mouth. You sound so stupid right now, I don't know why Troy hasn't arrested you for being stupid in public. Ease off, Han, Jonas told her in a soothing voice. He tried to hold her and comfort her. Mira shoved him away. Jonas, I am not having another flashback. Far from it. I'm scared, and you do not hear the reason for that fear. You refuse to listen to me when I tell you we are about to lose this ranch. The government is going to come in and slap a tax lien on everything here. The IRS is like a school of sharks. Let them smell one drop of blood, and they attack for the kill. In an aggrieved voice, he asked, What is it I am not understanding? Jonas, among other things, your expenses are way too high for your reported income. Hell, so we tell them we goofed, and we'll do it better in the future. They got better things to do than come after some little guy like me. Look at all the stuff those big corporations pull. Jonas, unless it is a real bad screw-up, the big corporations usually get a pass. They get slapped with token penalties here and there for the PR benefits. That is all. The little people do not have whole law firms waiting to do battle for them. We are the ones they go for first because we are easy pickings. How come you know all this? Jonas, this is what I went to school to study. My next college course was to begin with pre-law and end up with a doctoral study in international law and banking. Well, what do we do? With that question, Jonas ceded complete financial control over to Mira. We get a computer, perhaps 2 of them. We need a lot of memory and fast graphics. We need high-speed internet, and I need to access the university and download all sorts of programs. I want the whole tax code downloaded onto disk, and I need a good bookkeeping program. I know a couple of acceptable freeware programs we can get by on for now. Where do we start? Jonas was lost. I need a computer to get started. Well, that plus an internet connection. Well, now that you have me properly overwhelmed, let's relax and enjoy the moment. There's not much else we can do right now, Jonas said. They spent the rest of the day together, laughing and making light-hearted jokes about the moose calls they attempted calls no moose would ever respond to. That night, Christmas Eve, was the best either had ever experienced. After a day filled with joy and laughter, they lay in each other's arms and listened to the wind as it sang them to sleep. The next morning was Christmas Day. Jonas woke up, followed his usual routine, showered, and dressed in his thermals. He started breakfast as usual. Mira came out, still in her pajamas, and poured herself a cup of coffee. "What's for breakfast this morning?" she asked. Jonas turned, looked at her, and smiled. "You," he exclaimed, then walked over to her with a grin. Mira chuckled softly, feeling the warmth of the moment. "Oh my gosh," she laughed. They shared a quiet moment before Jonas finished cooking. Once the meal was ready, Jonas placed the food on the table. As he returned to add some cheese grits, Mira jumped up, ran around the table, and kissed him on the cheek. "Merry Christmas, darling," she said. Emotions welled up inside Jonas as he looked at her with love. "Why didn't you come over to my house 10 years ago?" he asked, feeling the weight of the moment. Mira laughed softly. 10 years ago, I was 12, Jonas. That's a bit young for that kind of thing. And you definitely would have gotten into trouble." She came over and hugged him, her smile warm. "But I love this sentiment," she added, sitting down next to him. "Let's enjoy breakfast first. Then we can get back to what we had planned for today." Blaine came out while Jonas was still sorting the milk. "I couldn't find anyone useful. A couple of drifters passed through and stopped for a drink at Ed's, and that was it." Jonas nodded. "Blaine, from what Mira tells me, I may have put the ranch in jeopardy. She's going to be busier than a one-legged man in a race. We'll be away a lot over the next few months, so let's feed the animals more heavily but less often. It'll make things a bit easier on you. We should get a break in the weather if the Chinook comes through this year." "You plan on using the temporary thaw to get extra hay out to the stock?" Blaine asked. "Yup. Also, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. There are those protected areas the other cattle use on the new ranch. Let's turn our animals out with them, but any breeding bull over there that doesn't show good conformation is getting culled. I'll sell the animal to Henri, and he can work up a bunch of new dishes featuring tough beef. I want my own bull to do the breeding over there unless the other one looks better. That place has been neglected. If the government doesn't get off its butt, I'm going to tell them I want the reward in cash and for them to keep the damned place." Blaine did not look happy at the prospect of losing his job as foreman of the new ranch before he ever got a chance to be one. "Whatever you say, Jonas. You finish the chores out here. I have a phone call to make." Once outside the barn, Jonas lowered his head against the wind and quickly headed toward the house. "Han, call the Denver FBI and get Oscar on the phone. I'm sure you can have all the computers you need out here by tomorrow." He glanced at her as she moved around the room. "Better get dressed. Blaine will be coming in with Anita and April. Merry Christmas, my darling. I guess that means no surprise gifts until this evening." She smiled, though a hint of disappointment lingered. "You know I love those unusual presents and surprise moments." She handed him the still-ringing phone. When someone answered, he said, "Give me Oscar." He recognized the familiar, strained voice of the receptionist at the Denver office. "Special Agent Steele is not available over the holidays. Special Agent John Scott is accepting all calls if he's available." "Miss Frosty, but," Jonas started, "I can promise you your choice of new work addresses, either Outhouse, Oklahoma, or Paris, Texas. Get Steele right now or start packing. Your choice." Seconds later, Steele, a tired voice answered on the other end of the call. "This better be important, Jonas. Brandywine is nothing more than another part of the artichoke. They are enforcement and security. Remember the spin-off companies of Halliburton? I have a hunch Brandywine started the same way and grew into something more. I have been hit with an IRS audit. So, Jonas, everyone gets audited some time or other. There is nothing I can do about that. The IRS is not a part of the FBI. Hell, even a dumb old country boy like me knows that. However, the timing is all wrong. Someone sicked the IRS on us. That had to be someone from your office, and that someone has to be a person who is looking around for anything to curry favor with her new bosses." Jonas's voice took on a firm tone as he asked, "Isn't that right, Frosty Butt?" He heard a sharp intake of breath. "Are you eavesdropping on this conversation?" "Bye, Harry." Jonas interrupted. "You'd better get someone to your office right now. She's about to leave." "I'll call you back in a moment," Steele said sharply. "Are you at home?" "Yeah. Myra's waiting. But we'll be here for your call, Jonas replied. Steele chuckled before hanging up. Jonas sighed. Better get dressed, Han. We're going to have company. Probably starting right now. She heard boots stomping on the porch. Oh, she exclaimed and hurried toward the bedroom. Come in, Blaine, Jonas called out. Blaine entered, brushing snow off his shoulders and shutting the door behind him. Boss, we're heading into town for a while to visit Anita's sister. I'll come back for the milking and then head back into town for the party. Can you handle the chores tomorrow? I want to stay in town overnight. Sure, no problem. Also, get in touch with Ed and see if he's open today. Find out who he knows that might need work. We just got a break on the new place. Tomorrow, we'll take stock of the inventory over there. I'm going to get things moving before the paperwork is finalized. Blaine raised an eyebrow. Sounds like you've got some good news. Yeah, the best. He just doesn't know it yet. Jonas thought of the implications that Steele had a leak in his office. He thought a moment and added, We'll need 3 more good hands for certain. You go and enjoy yourselves. Mira came out fully dressed. Let's go. I'm getting antsy now. They put on their cold weather gear and headed out the door. In minutes, Jonas and Mira were headed out cross-country on the red snowmobile. Jonas carried his sidearm as a precaution, not because he anticipated trouble. Mira hung on to Jonas as they created a new trail. He detoured past the bunched cattle he boarded for the Texas people. Jonas stopped short of the ranch house. Everything looked deserted and quiet. The driveway out to the Walden Road had no recent tracks in the snow. He nodded to himself and released the clutch lever. They made a circuit that permitted them to inspect every outbuilding, then stopped in front of the front door. He shut off the engine and said, Well, let's see what we can see. They saw yellow crime scene tape draped across the front door. We can't get in, Mira complained as she looked at the yellow tape. Without answering, Jonas walked over to the front window. He nodded once and removed his thermal glove. From a utility pocket in the snowmobile suit, he pulled out a Swiss utility knife. He opened the big blade and slipped it up between the 2 sliding windows and applied pressure. 3 seconds later, he slid the lower window upward and stepped through. Mira followed. If you had waited, I would have opened the front door for you, he told her. But what about the yellow tape out there? She asked. Well, that's to keep the criminals out. You a criminal? He grinned and hugged her. No, Jonas Morgan, I am not a criminal. Well then, neither am I. That tape don't apply to us. She shook her head and looked around. As she walked from room to room of the big ranch house, she saw everything was in total disarray. Cabinets had been pulled from the walls, drawers were removed and tossed on the floor. The bedroom was the same. Clothing had been strewn all over. Expensive women's underwear was stirred in with cheap men's socks. In the large kitchen, she surveyed the wreckage of pots and pans dumped on the floor. Dishes were broken. Jonas came in behind her. Something is wrong here, and I can't put my finger on it. I was out here as a kid a couple of times. Sweetheart, the whole house has been almost demolished. That is what is wrong with it. It felt good to get sarcastic with him. She realized it felt good to not be afraid. Barry's ghost was gone. No, the kitchen has changed. He walked over to the door to the dining room, turned back toward the kitchen, and closed his eyes. There, he said more to himself than to Mira. Jonas walked over to a built-in kitchen work counter, grabbed one section, and pulled. Nothing happened. He gave it more pressure. A latching mechanism separated itself from the wall. Damn, I knew I remembered a basement there. He pulled the counter away from the wall and pointed to a trap door. Well, aren't you going to open it? Mira became excited at the thought of what might be down there. No, the place might be wired for sound. Jonas looked at the trapdoor in a thoughtful way. Let's call Steele back out here. He needs to bring the bang and boom squad out here. Jonas, you are talking in riddles. Why can't we just open that trapdoor and climb down and see what is down there? Her eyes became shine with excitement. She started to reach down and grab the ring screwed into the wooden trapdoor. Stop! He yelled and grabbed her. That damned basement may be booby-trapped. He dragged her outside. Damnation, woman. Use your brain. If they had sensitive stuff stored down there, they probably wired it to go boom. If I'm right, those computers Steele took away were decoys set up to be confiscated. The real records are down in that basement. And if I am right, they are mine to the hilt. Give me your phone. She removed a glove and reached inside her parka. She brought out the cell phone. Can you get through from here? I think so. There's a transponder up on the top of that peak. Jonas pointed at a distant mountaintop. Since we have line of sight between there and here, I should be able to get a weak signal through. I'll try. The connection was static-free, but weak. Steele, the voice came through faint but clear. This is Jonas Morgan. Better get out to that place you raided as fast as you can and bring the bomb squad and some electronics people. I think we hit the jackpot. Jonas could barely hear Steele's reply. We'll be right there. I'll come first, and the experts will be along later. He disconnected. Let's build a fire in the fireplace. He cleared the clutter away from around the mantel and tossed in a few pieces of chopped kindling. Since he had no matches, Jonas tore pages out of a ruined book, wadded them up, and shoved them under the stacked wood. Then he drew his gun, shoved it into the middle of the wads of paper, and pulled the trigger. There was a loud report. Mira screamed. A few tendrils of flame showed, and then the kindling began to burn. Good Lord, Jonas, what did you just do? He grinned a little boy gone bad grin at her, and said, I started a fire. I almost had a heart attack. One minute I hear you talking about booby traps, and the next moment I hear a loud bang. Warn me next time. It will take a while to get that fire burning. Want to explore? He led the way. The outbuildings yielded up a complete blacksmith and metalworking shop. Now that I see it, I can believe those people knew what they were doing. What do you mean, sweetheart? Mira leaned against him. To her, there was nothing interesting in front of them, just some complicated-looking machines. The equipment here is enough to completely disassemble a tractor or trailer, place the narcotics they wanted to transport inside the hollow spaces, and weld it all back together. No wonder they were able to operate under everybody's noses for so long. An 18-wheeler loaded with beef cows could go anywhere and never be suspected. Well, that's all behind us now. We don't have to worry about anything anymore. Mira couldn't understand Jonas's excitement over narcotic dealers' tools. Han, with what we have here in this shop, we can repair anything on the ranch. Hell, we could open a machine shop. And the good thing is, it's all ours. Yes, if we can keep it. Mira thought of the impending IRS audit. We will. I just thought of a way to explain everything, and nobody can prove different. Jonas gave her a smug look. Let's go home. He guided her out of the outbuilding that contained all the machinery. Mira climbed on behind Jonas and began to think hard about how to reconcile the vast difference between reported income and expenditures. She hoped Jonas's idea had at least a little merit. Jonas pulled up in front of the equipment barn and stopped. Mira eased off and half ran to the house, while Jonas put the Polaris away. He smiled as he thought of how simple his idea was. For once he felt he was ahead of Mira where business was concerned. As soon as he came into the house, Mira asked, Okay, what's your great brainstorm? She cocked her eyebrow and waited. Jonas made a big show of hanging up his parka and sat to remove his boots. He smiled and told her, Well, we tell them I spent money I had on hand that I'd rat-holed while I was still in the service. Oh, come on, Jonas. Who would believe anything that far out? She stared down at the floor. Well, it happens to be the truth, in a way. It's just that I kind of left the money in Kabul before I came back stateside. Jonas, what do you mean you kind of left money in Kabul? She began to experience a sinking feeling in her stomach. How much money did you kind of leave behind in Afghanistan? About $40,000. He blushed and looked away. Oh God, give me strength. Jonas, how did you just leave $40,000 in that horrid country? Jonas's back stiffened. He turned and stared hard at Mira. That is not a horrid country, and the people are not kill-crazy animals. I met a few real nice people over there. There is some beautiful country, and except for that bunch of crazy religious nets, Afghanistan would be a great place to live. Sorry, Mira did not seem apologetic. Okay, they are wonderful people. Let's get back on the subject of $40,000. Why did you kind of leave $40,000 in Kabul? He hesitated, searched for words, and let the words out in a tumble. It was to keep my kids safe. Your kids? Mira thought and asked, How many kids do you have? She envisioned a pregnant Afghan woman left behind by Jonas as he returned to America. There were 30 of them last count. The imam told me there would be more than he could handle by the year after I left. The UNICEF fund dried up, and a couple of us tried to help keep the orphanage going. Orphanage, orphans. Jonas, right now I don't know whether to kiss you or beat you on the head. Well, just kiss me and let it go. I never spent any money much while I was over there. Just a few beers and soap and stuff. I lived on base and drew my rations and ate on base. I saved almost all my pay and bought the ranch with it. My outfit all helped support the orphanage, and that's why I left money behind. And, aside from being a good guy, how does that help you here? Mira lost her uneasy feeling. This time Jonas might have something they could use. Well, since I never took a deduction, that money is still officially in my pockets. I can prove I never spent much of anything, and so you do your stuff, and we'll be able to explain everything away. He grinned at her and said, Now let's go into the bedroom and take care of the important stuff. Be careful, Jonas. That's 2 good ideas you had in the same day. Mira decided Jonas was a keeper. 2 hours later, Jonas said, Want to go see what's happening in town? He had donned warm clothing, gone to the barn, came back and removed the parka. Then he did it again a few minutes later. We better do something, Mira replied. You are about to drive me crazy. Ah, it's this damned wind, Jonas told her as he paced from the kitchen to the toilet and back. She snorted. No, it's this damned Jonas. You don't have 10 things to do, and it's driving you crazy. Blaine is almost as good a worker as you. Anita takes care of the chickens and the pigs as if they were her own. Jonas nodded. Get dressed, and we'll take a look at our little herd. Then we'll head on in and see Simon and Maura. Better put on your snowmobile suit. We'll be heading out across country. I'll get you some goggles. Mira hurried to dress warm. As they headed out the door, they heard the sound of a helicopter in the distance. They listened to it come closer. With no sense of urgency, Jonas said, "Get in the house and cover me from in there. This is probably nothing, but I don't want to take any chances." Mira nodded and hurried back into the house. The Bell Ranger came to a rest in their yard. The door swung open and Oscar Steele hopped out. He turned and helped his now under arrest receptionist down to the ground. 2 more agents followed. Mira stepped out onto the porch with her rifle in her right hand. She nodded to Steele and went back inside. "What's up?" Jonas asked when the 4 approached him close enough to talk over the noise of the helicopter. "I can't get over how you seem to almost be psychic. The way you keep plucking answers out of the air before anyone gets a chance to ask the questions." "You mean her?" Jonas asked in a contemptuous voice as he nodded his head toward the shivering woman. "If no one minds too much, you all go on inside the house and leave her out here with me. I've been wanting to talk to her after I met her in Denver. Let me go inside, I'm cold." She looked miserable. "Maybe later." Jonas looked her up and down. "I could just take you up to the road and let you loose. At this temperature, you would be dead in a few minutes." "Who is behind Brandywine?" She looked at him with dull eyes. "I don't know." Jonas stared hard at her. "I'm getting cold. It's time to go inside." She started to follow. "Not you, lady, just me. But I'll freeze out here." She screamed at him. "I don't care. You're of no use to me. I don't care if you live or die." He walked up on the porch. "Damn you, this is murder." She began to sob. "Unless you can give me something I can use, I don't have any interest in you. Not one bit. Run up to the road and see if you can hang on long enough to get a ride into town. Good luck." He opened the front door. "Wait, please. I'll tell you anything you want." Her voice cracked, and she scrambled up on the porch behind him. "Okay," he told her in a doubtful voice. "But the first time I smell bullshit, out the door you go. You get one chance." In that instant, her spirit broke. Head down in defeat, she followed him into the house. "Well?" Agent Steele waited for Jonas to speak. Jonas pointed at the table and told the woman in the same tone of voice a trainer used when giving a dog a command. "Sit." Head still down, she followed his command. "Ask your questions. I promise she will answer." His voice remained neutral. Mira looked at his face and told him, "Come in here, honey." She led him into the bedroom. They sat side by side on the edge of the bed. "Hon, right now I am not too proud of myself. I don't like it when I break someone down, man or woman. I did that in Iraq a few times. The most terrible thing you can do to a person is take away his spirit." "Why did you do it then?" She asked. "We needed intel. Perhaps it was where some ordnance was cached, or else where some of our guys were being held prisoner." He sighed. Mira eased over onto his lap and held him. "This is why I fell in love with you. Underneath it all, your hard ways, your violence. You are a good man and a gentle man. Honey, you did what you did to her to save our lives. Oh, sweetheart, you have been alongside me when I kept trying to retreat inside my mind. I never realized what a non-life I lived until I met you. Yeah, I guess you're right. Let's rejoin our guests." He stood when she slipped off his lap. "Let me put my mean face back on." Steele looked up from his chair at the kitchen table. "Ah, just the man I wanted to see. We shall take our prisoner back to Denver. In 2 days, a new set of papers will be delivered. All rights on your new property will be yours. When can I start selling off the stock over there?" Jonas asked. "Why, as soon as the transfer of deed is recorded and all the encumbrances are lifted. Why? I'm cash poor and I have to hire a new crew. I want to use my bull and upgrade that stock. I need to sell off the culls. As this whole deal gets further down the road, it gets more complicated. If I didn't have Mira at my side, I'd be totally lost." "Jonas," she exclaimed, "you never said anything to me about what you felt." Her eyes grew big and round. Inside, she felt strong as she realized in that instant they were partners. "Yes." He grabbed her in his arms. "Damn it, Mira, I never realized how dumb I was until you told me." He hugged her for a moment and turned to Steele. "By the way, there should have been a computer over there. You said we got everything and left out the computer. We need it." Agent Dylan Pike asked in a doubting voice. "You are computer literate?" "Oh, hell no." Jonas laughed self-consciously. "My lady says she needs it." "Oh, well, I am afraid that computer is evidence." Pike did not seem to care whether the FBI kept its word or not. "Jerk the hard drive and give me the rest," Mira told him. "We can't risk it." Jonas interrupted. "You have a warehouse full of confiscated goods. Why not replace the computer you say we no longer can have that you promised us with something equally as good?" Agent Steele laughed. "Jonas, you do have a bit of the practical in you. 2 networked computers, their monitors, and everything else is sitting boxed in the evidence room. The trial ended 6 months ago, and we can drop it off the inventory with no problem. Everything will be here along with the paperwork. Can you wait 2 days?" Mira nodded. The agents grabbed their prisoner and left. Mira stood in the middle of the front room, looking up at her man. They listened to the helicopter take off. As the sounds faded into the distance, she asked, "How did you know they had confiscated a computer over at the other ranch?" "It stood to reason," he told her. "Don't tell me. It also stood to reason they had a computer locked up in their evidence room." He laughed. "Yup. You see, they raided a bunch of illegal operations, and I saw on the news where the suspects were sentenced to federal prison a few months ago. Those operations involved a lot of computers. What do I do if the keyboard is all sticky?" she asked. "Well, unless you're really into something strange, you just wash it." He laughed at her puzzled expression. "Han, we make up for each other's shortcomings. We are like two pieces in a jigsaw puzzle. I was a man without any purpose in life except make this place pay. You opened a window I never knew was closed. By God, you are that window." She stood on tiptoe and pulled his face down to kiss it. "Let's go exploring." "What? What brought that on? I figure you would be back pacing the floor and driving me crazy within the hour. Let's go over to our new place and look around. I have never seen all of it, and I would like to, especially the basement that is now safe." "Well, okay with me. We just had our old-fashioned Christmas, and the old pink snake doesn't feel too frisky." "Sure, let's go." "Honey," Jonas added, "this may sound a little corny, but today is the first day of the rest of our lives. Let's make it count." Mira listened to the wind and hugged him tight. "Oh yes, we shall. And all the tomorrows after this one." Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.